We've got some new merch. Check out the Be Good to Yourself tees, now in new fall colors like bay green, peach, granite, and black. That and much more at theovonstore.com. And we thank you so much for your support. We also have some new tour dates coming up, and they are Oklahoma City, North Little Rock, Springfield, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, La Crosse and Green Bay, Wisconsin, Moline, Illinois, Colorado Springs, Colorado, Casper, Wyoming, Billings, Missoula, Bloomington, Indiana, Columbus, Ohio, Champaign, Illinois, Grand Rapids, Lafayette, Louisiana, and Beaumont, Texas. Get all your tickets at theovon.com/TOUR. And thank you so much for the support. Today's guest is a business mogul. He's an entrepreneur. He's launched some of the biggest companies in the world and owned the Dallas Mavericks along the way, helped leading them to great success. He just retired from his stint on Shark Tank, and I'm very grateful to get to spend time with him. Today's guest is Mr. Mark Cuban. Good to see you today, Mark.
Thanks for having me, Theo.
It's a pleasure, man. Thank you so much. Yeah. Really, really an honor.
No, the honor's mine, man. You've been crushing it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. We've been really fortunate. We've been working really hard. Over the past 2 years, been working really hard, and I think luck has kind of met us along the way, you know?
I'll take luck every time, man.
Will you?
Oh, hell yeah, right?
Has luck does that come up to play in your business at your level, or do you still think there's a level of luck to it, or what do you kind of?
So luck is about scale, right? You know, as an entrepreneur, I think, okay, I can start a business, I can make some money, you know, I can be okay, right? But if you want to have a B next to your name, you got to have a lot of motherfucking luck, right? So in my case, I started the first streaming company, right? Which would have been cool, but it happened right at the time the internet stock market was blowing up. If the internet stock market wasn't blowing up at the same time, you'd have no idea who I am.
Oh, you mean so there was a level of luck to it?
Oh, yeah.
So the first streaming company was?
It's called AudioNet. We started in 1995 when nobody knew what streaming was, right? We called it internet broadcasting. And so we started out a second bedroom, my house, just a setup just like this, and bought myself a PC and connected it, found a local radio station that I could connect everything to, went online, and I would go and just say, okay, if you want to listen to Dallas sports or news from anywhere in the world, come to this website, audionet.com. And it just blew up. And then we got a video and changed the name to broadcast.com, went public in 1998. It was the biggest IPO in the history of the stock market at the time.
Oh, so that's how you started, this is a loose term, I know you've done other things, but so that's how you started to make some money.
Yeah, no, that's when I crushed it.
Because that's when the .coms, like, yeah, if they
boom, man, yeah, it was it.
Sandals.com sold for like 20 million.
Yeah, no, it was insane, right?
Yeah.
It was insane. And so, but we were legit. Crazy. We were YouTube before YouTube, right? And so we were the biggest by far. It wasn't even close. And so, you know, we were the first to do basketball, football, baseball, you name it, first ones to stream anything, right? And then went public, great. And then we sold to Yahoo. And then Yahoo fucked it up, but that's another story.
Oh, Yahoo bought a lot of things that they fucked up. Can we say that?
Yeah, you can say that.
Yeah.
Because it's true.
They made some poor choices. I was working at Yahoo. I was working over there doing interviews with folks, and they bought, what was the website they bought that for a crazy amount of money? It was blogs. People did blogs on it.
Yeah, I mean, they've bought in a bunch, right? And for whatever reason, they could not get it right for anything, man. They bought us. They bought all these different companies that at the time were huge. Yeah, GeoCities. That's what it was. They bought that before us.
GeoCities was one, but there was one what was the blog website that everybody used? It kind of had a basic template to it. Tumblr.
Oh, Tumblr, yeah. Well, Tumblr was hot. Then it went porn, right?
Did it go porn? I'm glad I got out.
Yeah, porn for a little while, and then this dude I know, Matt, bought it, right? And so now he's just trying to make it work.
Oh, trying to refinesse it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because that was a crazy buy that they had. I remember we were working there and we're like, you're buying a blog? Like, that just felt like you're headed to the past, kind of.
I don't, and then they were part of Verizon, then they got bought by Apollo. I don't know what they're doing now. I mean, I still use Yahoo Finance, right? It's not like people don't use it.
Yeah.
They just haven't been able to get ahead of the game.
Yeah. They had some stake in Alibaba, too, that company.
Yeah, and that's where they made some money,
Yeah,
right?
I think that really kept them kind of like in the vibe, kind of or just, yeah, it obviously helped their coffers. But yeah, they made some poor choices, I think. I mean, hell, they were paying me, so obviously they were.
So they made one smart move, right?
Yeah.
When were you there?
I was there like maybe 2010 or something, 2012.
Yeah, because our deal closed 2000. So you were there like
2014 or something. I was there actually.
Who was the CEO when you were there? Do you remember?
It was a female CEO.
They
they had just got her in actually.
Yeah, what the fuck was her name?
She was cute actually.
Yeah. I never got a close up look at her.
Oh well, yeah. But I remember I met her one time, and I wish I'd met her more than one time. That's all I remember.
Marissa Meyer, yeah.
Marissa Meyer was great, but they had another lady too that was worked kind of over us in the video department.
Oh, yeah.
All this Diddy stuff going on, man. What do you?
I'm sure glad that I didn't hang out with him, right?
You never got in you never were in his.
I met him, right, but never
Yeah.
went out, right? And actually, back in 2003, he reached out to me to the Mavs and wanted to design a uniform for us. And I never met him. We did it all via email. And so he had some of his designers get in touch with me, and they put together some, and it was a cool looking uniform, right?
Yeah.
We used it for a couple of years, but that was the extent of my connection to Diddy. I never hung out or did anything. I hung out enough in LA, but I never really heard stories about the parties or anything like that. That wasn't my scene.
Yeah, that's kind of, I would just hear stuff sometimes, like I would hear certain things, but it was never anything like, oh, this is exactly what's going on.
Right.
You know?
I mean,
you
and
just
you
heard
would think somebody would
stuff.
say something. How do you keep that
That's
quiet
what
for
I
so
think.
long? All those videos, it's not like people didn't I don't care if you take people's phones, right? Someone's sneaking in the phone.
Yeah.
If shit like that's happening.
Yeah, it's amazing that if they say all the things are true, that he was able to just do that for so long, What is a level like, is it scary when people get to a level of wealth that they can kind of have anything? Like, what is some of that?
See, I don't look at it that way, right?
And I'm not saying you do.
No,
either,
I hear
but
you.
I'm just curious about it.
Yeah, like what are the options, right?
Right.
Like if you're rich as fuck, what can you do and get away with, right? I don't hang out with people like that, right? I always looked at it that like my high school buddies are still my high school buddies, right? The guys, my rugby teammates in Indiana, my Indiana buddies, those are my friends. The guys, I lived 6 guys in a 3-bedroom apartment when I moved to Dallas. Those are my friends, right? So it's not like, okay, I'm getting the butlers, I'm getting the chauffeur, and look at me, right? And I came by myself. I don't give a shit about that stuff.
No, you seem, I was kind of wondering, I was like, how will he show up? Will a stork drop him off?
Yeah, right?
Like, how's he gonna?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it hasn't crossed my mind, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, you have to be, in order to do shit like Diddy or anybody like that, you have to be so paranoid, right? You have to try to think of every base to cover, right? And, now part of me wishes I'd done, because there's too many pictures of me out drunk with my friends and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
But I just don't like to live paranoid, right? I love having a lot of money. It's a whole lot better to be rich than it is to be broke, but I was happy when I was poor. I just was happier when I was rich. And so I don't get that whole thing of, like just be protective and like play the rich game, right? That's just not my style.
Yeah, that's kind of it. I think play the rich game. Like, but do you see people, like, do you ever like, because that's the thing, like people get so much money and then they get power too, or some of them get one or the other, maybe both. But then like, how does that infect people? Do you see that infects some people? Like, have you ever witnessed it?
Yeah, for sure. Right. So like people who think because they're rich, they're smarter, right? That they have more privilege, right? They can get away with whatever they want. Yeah, particularly in business, right? So if you talk to somebody that may be richer than me, right, who will say shit that's just crazy, right, and think, okay, because I said it, that's what's up, right? That's it's right, right? Or more likely, though, in my experiences, like I'll get invited to these parties, right, that are really nice house and stuff, right? But there'll be like 50 servants, right? 5 people to answer the door, 6 people that just specialize in toast, right? Just ridiculous shit, right? And all over, I'm like, how do you live like this? Because it's bad enough. Like I have too big a house. And And so you have to have people there to clean it and stuff like that. And there's no privacy just with that. And there's people that'll have like 10 people in the house at all times.
Yeah.
And I don't see how they live, right? So for some people, maybe it's like showing off. To me, it's just like, why would you live that way, right? I'm happy to have all this money because I can live the way I want as opposed to live the way somebody thinks I should.
Yeah.
And I just get the sense, to your point, that some people get to that level and it's like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do, right? I'm supposed to have this type of car. I'm supposed to have this many people working for me at the house. I'm supposed to have this type of china or whatever.
Gold toilets.
Yeah, whatever that
anything,
is, right?
Yeah.
But I am going to say one of the things I got a heated toilet seat.
Yeah.
Best thing ever.
Really?
You never had one?
Dude, I remember when I first got a clean lady to come once a week, I helped her like the first month. I felt horrible.
Guilty, right?
Yeah.
You got to get a heated toilet seat. That's like,
bro, I don't want my butt to get used to too many fancy things.
I'm just telling you.
Really?
I'm just telling you, right?
That's the one, huh?
I
can almost imagine.
Because I go from, when you travel, right? You leave home and you're comfortable.
Yeah.
And I went where I'm staying now, right? No heated toilet seat. First thing I noticed, you sit down in the morning and you're like, fuck.
You're like, this could be better.
It could be better, right?
Yeah.
I'm paying all this for this room and my butt's cold.
I know. Oh, dude, I remember the first night I stayed in a hotel room and it was like $600 or something. And I was afraid to even go to sleep. I was like, if I sleep, I'm wasting like $240, dude.
Oh my goodness.
So I just kept staying up as much as I could. I still spent a little money, wasted some of the money sleeping, but it was nice over there. Yeah, I think it's interesting when people get to like you would see it sometimes with the Romans or something. I don't know, you would see it, but you would hear about it with the Romans where like they got to levels of wealth and power that it veers into like a lot of sexual, like, I don't know if proclivities is the word. Is that a word?
Yeah, like what was it?
What does that mean, proclivities?
Yeah, no, you got it, right? So like Caligula, right? I saw the movie Caligula.
Was Caligula?
Right? Yeah, that was the movie where
that's
there was
what
like,
it was?
Yeah, with all the sex and everything. Where
I hadn't seen that.
Everybody was your concubine,
Yes.
right? Male, women, doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
Everybody was just fucking everything because they could.
Yeah, I think that's something.
Yeah, my wife's not going for that shit.
yeah. There weren't a lot of. Once you put a wife in there, things change.
It's over. Yeah.
Proclivities, a tendency to choose or do something regularly. A tendency to choose or do something regularly. An inclination of predisposition towards a particular thing. So it might activate proclivities in you for something.
Like with the Romans, their proclivities were to fuck around and have fun, right?
Yeah, and it would turn, I think, but a lot of people, they do so much like straight activity, then it gets into gay, or you know what I'm saying? Like oh yeah. And I don't know what I'm saying either, but I think that's something, I wonder, that's just what I'm asking, I guess. I wonder if that's something that happens when people get so much money and power that their band or they've already had as much of like regular sound. I wonder if it starts to build on
like,
itself.
what can I do next, right? What can I do? What can I get?
Yes.
Right? What can I get?
What else is possible?
Yeah, like not so much with sex, right? Because you're going to get fucked over by somebody at some point, right?
Well, can you imagine having to keep all of the, like trying to just, even if you ever like sent like I've cheated in relationships. That's hard enough, just knowing like.
What's next, right? Yeah.
Or just knowing like, I have to make sure we never go in this area, or what if this girl, that one thing alone, I can't imagine the level of like paranoia.
Yeah, is it worth it?
Yeah.
But look, I'm not going to say that, forget not sex necessarily, but just like going out and trying new things, right? Like I bought a plane, right? Because it's like that to me was the coolest thing after toilet seats, right? To like being able to just pop on a plane, right?
Oh, that's a dream.
When I sold my first company, I bought a lifetime pass on American Airlines. So literally I was 29 and I was like, I had this card where I could just go to any airport that had American Airlines, just show up, me and somebody else, and wherever they were flying, they had to put me on a plane.
Really?
It was insane. Yeah. So if that's like proclivities to go try different stuff.
That's your version.
Yeah, that's me, right?
Yeah.
Because look, I'm the luckiest motherfucker in the world, and I don't want to let it pass, right? I want to take advantage of the time I got. But more now, it's more family, right? As I've gotten older, my kids have gotten older. It's more like my kids are 15, 18, and 21. And so it's like, let's spend more time with them because that's the most valuable thing to me. But when I was younger, before I got married, it was like, let's go, right? Travel, party. Let's see who could throw the biggest parties, right? Who can buy the biggest bottle of champagne, just rent a club, who can run up the biggest bill, right? Yeah, I was doing that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I think that's what I think. Some people like if you get so like some people get so powerful or like there's a lot of gay folks out there. I think that they only veer into that or get into different sexual like things that are outside of what would be normal for them, maybe that because they get so much power, you know, like the Romans did it. Like, you know, they say that they did it, or there's people like financial gays, power gays. There's like,
I haven't heard that before.
Oh, really?
No, financial gays and power gays.
Oh, yeah. There's people
man.
that get so rich they can afford to just be
just
gay
fuck
for
anything
fun.
they want.
Yeah. Or like blind gays. There's even people that are blind, they don't care as much if gay or straight leaves their.
I had one guy walk up to me sometime. He goes, "I want to suck your dick." This is years ago. And I go, "No." He goes, "Look, let me just tell you something." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "You close your eyes, it all feels the same."
Yeah, well, you should practice with someone else.
This is an 80s thing, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, dude, I'm not gay, but I'll hold it in my mouth till a gay guy gets there. That's something that you would hear sometimes at church. But I have friends that are blind and they've told me that they lose their sense of like some of their sense of straightness dissolves.
No, I can see that, right?
It's not as important.
Yeah, because you can't see one way or the other. Yeah.
And so I think there's a level of, which is kind of fascinating to me that there's different things that there's people that are gay and people that are bi and people that that's who they are. But then there's some people that.
Well, I got a question for you, Theo.
Yeah.
I listened to your President Trump interview.
Yeah.
Why didn't you talk about this shit with him?
Well, I don't think. I think it was harder to talk about
Bernie
with
Sanders.
him.
I could have. Yeah, well, the Romans were gay, right?
Oh, sorry, I don't know. Well, I was just because I probably should have asked him if people get so powerful, do they then? Yeah, just because at that point anything's an option. You know, that's all I'm saying. I think there's things that lead people like
if you want to push limits, right?
Right, pushing limits. That's what
if
I'm
you
thinking.
think money can buy you anything, right, and you want to push the limits and think, okay, I got money that gives me power, so I can do whatever I want.
Right.
That's just going to backfire so hard because if you're not like real, the people that are you're messing with,
right,
they ain't going to be real either, and it's just going to be a disaster.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about with the Diddy thing. I think it's just like at a level of that you can have anything, that you get this power. It's just kind of, I mean, it's sad and it's scary to see, you know. I think that's some of the craziest
you
thing,
got to wonder, like, when did it click? When did it, like, fall over the cliff, right?
Yeah.
When it went from, okay, let's hang and have some fun.
Have a good party to when it started getting
like,
weird.
Yeah, like I'm taking videos of everybody and this and that. Yeah.
Do you think there'll be other people that will come out about this, or do you think a lot of that's like myth, like internet mythology?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, it's just like something that's been on kind of the topic of news.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's an interesting subject, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you wonder, like, and I wonder, because I mean, I've met the guy and I've seen him
I met
out,
him one time too.
but it's just like, how does he get that far?
Yeah.
You know, and
that kind of stuff's addictive too, though. Once you do one crazy thing, then that becomes
especially if
the
you're trying to
norm.
up yourself, right?
Right.
You know, because I mean, you've gone out drinking, I've gone out drinking with buddies, right? Oh, have another shot, right?
Yeah.
Have another, and that's what guys do, right? But if it goes to the wrong direction, it could backfire, and like it has.
And the paranoia of having to keep that would be a nightmare, man. I feel lucky I'm not living that way.
Yeah, but you know, to me, like the telltale sign is he fucking hurt people, right? He hit women, right? He dragged that one lady down the hall, and
yeah, it's
that
obvious
tells you
he
he's
was
fucked up somewhere,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's one thing to want to party, right? It's another thing to like, okay, I'm throwing a big party, right? But it's a whole nother thing to physically abuse people. That's just like, yeah, that shit. ain't
Yeah, and it's
right.
like, how do you not have your own awareness at that point? But then I think things get, when you get power and you get that much ability, your own sense of self can probably get skewed pretty easy.
Yeah, something's fucked up, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean,
what are some of the side effects of that people don't see of being very wealthy? Like, are there some negative things about it? I mean, sorry, it's hard to even.
yeah, nothing that I can tell, right?
You look so happy. It's hard for me to even.
No, I mean, the side effects, people sue you.
Okay.
Because you're the deep pockets.
That's a good point, man. I'm friends with John Leotow, Jimmy John. He had the Jimmy John's sandwich company.
Yeah.
And he said one of the reasons that he sold the company was because he spent most of his time fending off lawsuits. And he wasn't even able to be like.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've been sued 5 times my whole life, right? And 4 of them were because someone's just trying to get money.
Wow.
That's it. And they'll like name multiple people in the lawsuits, and they'll let the other people off the hook, right? They won't let me off the hook because I'm the deep pockets.
Oh. So that's kind of a bummer. Then I bet you have to be a little bit more cautious about things then.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's one thing. So one thing people don't realize, you probably have to be extremely cautious.
Yeah, and then for your kids, right? Because it's not their life, right? There's just, they inherited us, right? And I mean, it's not necessarily bad, but it's not necessarily easy either, right? To, have somebody who's, well known as your dad, to have everybody know you may not be rich yet, but you're going to be, right?
True, right.
And so I know that puts a lot of pressure on my kids. And so
yeah, that's
we have conversations. Yeah.
But at least you're able to communicate with them about that and have them just be
like I told all my kids, it's like, look, you fuck up, your friends fuck up, your friends just fucked up and their parents get mad. You fuck up, it's on the front page of the paper because you're my kid.
Yeah.
So you've got to be a little bit extra careful.
Is it hard to be you're a celebrity and you may not think of yourself in that way, or maybe you do, I don't know, but no matter what, you're a recognizable person.
Yeah.
Was it ever weird with your kids where you felt like, my kids are never going to feel like I'm theirs because I'm also in a way belong to other people?
Yeah, all the time.
Man,
right? All the time. Because there's times, like my son told me the other day, I'm like, okay, I'll go out and no, Dad, when you're there, everything changes. I just want to be normal.
Yeah.
Right. Which breaks my heart. Right.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. That kind of makes
but I understand too. Right. I understand.
Right.
And it happens with all my kids, where it's just like, there's a time for Dad to be there, and there's a time we don't want Dad there. Not because we don't want Dad there, just because of the attention he's going to pull.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's another side effect of some things that people don't see. I'm just curious about it. We were trying to get this therapist who works mostly with really wealthy people on to learn more about that, because like when I was growing up, I always looked at wealthy people like, fuck them, let's bomb them.
Let's bomb them.
Or
okay.
We didn't have any bombs. But we would.
Let's bomb them. Okay.
Look, we had to have a plan. Okay.
My God.
We had no strategy, but we just, we just keep playing video games, but
but in the back of your mind, you're playing GTA,
but
right?
we had but it almost gave you an enemy when you were growing up poor. It gave you this like, not an enemy, but it gave you like it kind of was.
No, I can relate, right? It's not like my family had anything, right? My dad did upholstery on cars. Neither one went to college, etc. But no, I remember vividly like not knowing how I was going to be able to pay for school, because I had to pay for my own school, and listening on the radio. It sounds so crazy. Listen on the radio about how these prisoners were going to get all the college education they needed, right? And I called into the radio station. I'm like, I'm 16. I don't have any idea how I'm going to pay for college. And they're paying for prisoners? That's just wrong.
Yeah, you're like, so now I got to commit a crime.
Yeah, right? To go, put me in jail, right?
Yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation.
What is something that you admire about each one of your children?
Oh, there's so much. There's so much. Yeah, they're different too, right? But as they've gotten older and, becoming real people now and teenagers, they're smart, they're caring, they're funny, they're ambitious in their own way for different things. The hard part about raising three teenagers is that they do all they can to ignore us,
Oh, it's a good point, huh?
Yeah, just like, our family's no different than, any other parents raising three teenagers, basically, right? Because those kids want to have their own identity. They want to become themselves and find out who they are. And, we're trying not to be those hover parents, right? That are just like, and give them some freedom. Like my son, no, your curfew is this, told him one time. He texts me back, let me breathe, Dad, let me breathe. I'm dying, right? Oh my God.
Yeah, dude, like he's George Floyd or something.
Not that bad, right? But just like, how kids talk, right?
Right. Oh, yeah, let me breathe, Dad.
Yeah. Because I always give him shit about like Gen Alpha, like talking vernacular, right? How they speak,
slide,
right?
twin, like they're always saying all this stuff. You don't even know what's going on.
Sigma, Ohio, right? Sus, mid.
Yeah, they sound like Peyton Manning trying to make like audibles at the line.
Right. Omaha,
Sigma,
right?
Sigma.
Sigma.
It really is funny. I'll text my nephew and I don't even know what he's saying half the time, dude.
Oh, it's funny as hell, man. And I'll start trying to talk that way just to fuck with him, right? And he's like, shut up, Dad. Or he just hangs up on me.
You try to lean into that. Is there anything that you had before you were wealthy that you wish you could have back?
Privacy.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure. I got none. Yeah, I mean, you know now too, right?
Yeah, there's times like yesterday I was driving somewhere and I wanted to get out and walk. It's like a cool street in town. And I was like, man, I know if I get out and walk, it'll be fine. But I just know that I will meet a bunch of people. And then it's like, it'll start to make me nervous or uncomfortable a little.
Because you don't know where it goes, yeah.
Yeah, or you just like, so I think, yeah, sometimes stuff like that isn't it? I guess that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, because I was walking in Nashville yesterday. Isn't that a song, right?
Walking in Memphis.
Memphis, that's
Thank
right.
God. It's, yeah.
Yeah.
Nashville's better.
I think so too.
Memphis is good.
But it's all right. Nashville's better. But I was just walking down the street and I'm hearing, and it was dark, right? And I'm hearing, Cuban. I just keep on walking, right? Yeah. It's just like no privacy whatsoever.
Yeah.
But, it could be worse.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, no, I'm not complaining. I'm just curious if they're what's one of the biggest things. Let me think about where we're at right now. So we've talked about some of how you got started.
I'm having fun. This is not like any other interview I've done, so I'm loving it. No, man, because you're like all over shit, whatever's, stream of consciousness, which is cool, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and this is a conversation too, and I think I like that about you. You make this feel like a conversation, so thanks,
why not? Yeah, no.
How do you know like a good business idea when you hear it now, and has that refined over the years from what you used to think might have been a good business idea?
Yeah, I mean, like when you're just getting started, sometimes what you don't know is good, right? Because it doesn't hold you back. So now, because I've been doing it, I've started so many businesses, invested in so many, like I know what not to do, but that sometimes keeps me from investing in people who probably have the biggest upside, right? Because, when I was getting started, I didn't know fuck, right? So it was just like, you just got the run through walls type attitude, right? Founder mode. And now like investing, I kind of look for that, but I'm more conservative in how I invest, right? Because, my next dollar isn't going to change my life. And so it's more like, okay, just a competition. Can I get it right? Or can I help these people? Or can I help them grow this company? Like Shark Tank, right? It's just like, not all those companies are going to be big, but if I can help them reach their personal goals, that's a win.
Yeah. Yeah. When it comes to Shark Tank, are you going to miss doing it?
Yeah, I'll miss it some, right? But again, it goes back to my kids. Like we shoot 2 weeks in June, 2 weeks in September. Just finished, right? My last run. And that's right when my kids are getting out of school, right? And right when they're going back to school. And their birthdays, right? Yeah. So like I missed my son's birthday for like the last 5 years. And like, that's not cool.
Yeah.
And so now, and plus now like as teenagers, they set the schedule. We don't, right? Used to be my wife and I'd be like, okay, we're going here when dad's done with Shark Tank. Now they're like, no, like my daughter, is a rower. She's going to rowing camp, right? My oldest daughter's going, on an internship, right? My youngest son is going to basketball camp, right? And so like they're setting the schedule and I have to be available. I can't make them be available.
Oh, that's a good point, huh? Yeah, because when they're a little younger, you kind of get to set the stakes.
You control everything, right? They're just little plebes, right?
Yeah. And now they're the ones that really get to choose what's going on. How would you rate the Sharks out there? Put the Sharks in order for me.
Oh, you put me in a bad spot, huh? Hey, they're all tied for last, right? They're all tied for last. No, it's fun, right? I mean, all of them have their own thing. Like Barbara's probably my favorite simply because she can tell what a person's about. Like she'll just say to somebody, you're lying, right? Or you're dishonest. I don't trust you. And she'll be right, and she can't do math. Like, Mark, what's 8 times 8? And I'll have to tell her, right? But she has great people skills. Kevin's Kevin. He's kind of the bad guy of the group. Robert, is into pets and kids and stuff like that. Lori is into consumer products group. Damon is the people's shark, right? He's trying to help, smaller businesses grow. And then me, right? And I just try to fuck with all of them and just have fun.
I wore mine the other night. They were comfortable. They were sleek, and they were just, they felt good on my body. I'm talking about my new Tommy John underwear. And what I like is the waistband on them isn't super tight, so it's not like just pressing against you, so you feel like you have to pee all night. I enjoy the freedom that I felt in them and the fanciness. Tommy John fabrics can keep you up to 2 to 3 times cooler, and they dry 4 to 5 times faster than regular cotton. Tommy John, it's the most comfortable underwear I've worn probably in the past maybe 4 years probably. I won't leave home without my Tommy Johns. Silky soft, comfortable, perfect fit. Every time, no wedgie guaranteed. Shop Tommy John right now for huge summer savings. Get 25% off your first order at TommyJohn.com/Theo. Save 25% at TommyJohn.com/THEO. They have shirts and undershirts and kind of just all types of underwears and everything for a man. And I like them, and you might like them. TommyJohn.com/Theo. Some things in life are okay to be a total crapshoot, like trying a new type of milk or letting your sister make you a burger or your stepsister, or even just buying oysters off of a guy that you just met at a coffee house. Those things, who knows? But finding the right doctor shouldn't be a total crapshoot. And with ZocDoc, it's not. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors. In-network, I said. And you can choose the right one for your needs and click to instantly book an appointment. We're talking about an in-network appointment with more than 100,000 healthcare providers across every specialty, from mental health to dental health, eye care to skin care, and much more. Plus, ZocDoc appointments happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score some same-day appointments. If I needed this product, and I might, it's what I'd use. That's what I'll tell you. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/Theo to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/Theo, because it's such a hassle sometimes trying to figure it out through your own provider, open this window or that window. Let ZocDoc do all that for you. When it comes to business, how do you know? I wonder if I'm trying to think if I would have had an idea on Shark Tank, what I would have taken in there.
Well, what made you decide to get into the podcasting role?
I went on Joe Rogan. Well, I had done some podcasting, and one day I went on Joe Rogan's show, and and on his we just talked more as a long talk, and I was like, oh, maybe I could just do it by myself. And so then I think I always wanted to have my own voice, and so then I just started in my kitchen. And I say that a lot, but I literally took my kitchen, my dinner table, and just made it where the studio was. And that became the studio. So then I have to eat in the living room and stuff, but it was still like...
That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. And then, I think having my own voice. Like I always felt like I didn't have a voice, I think, when I was a kid. And so...
But then there's a business to it, right? So...
then the business
how
gets
did you
interesting.
deal with how did you deal with the business side, right?
Well, one day a guy who sold pizzas in Santa Monica, my friend Thomas, he said, he emailed me. He wasn't a friend at the time. He emailed me and he said, hey man, I want to start.
Just a cold email?
Yeah, I want to.
That's cool.
I want to give you like $500 a month for advertisement, and you need to get a studio. And I was like, well, I want to keep that $500. I don't want a studio.
That's cool.
But then he's like, no, you don't see it. He said, if you can do this next step and use that $500 to get your studio, then it's going to do better. And that was something that's really been a blessing, because my mindset was just different. I had more of a scarcity mindset. And
right. Because you needed the $500, right? As opposed to grow the business.
I'd rather have it in my bank account.
Yeah, than use it as an investment.
Yes, and use it as an investment. And then once we did the first studio, and then that kind of evolved from there.
And you just kept on growing it on your own, or did you bring in people to do the sales? Or
we had an advertising company that stole from us for 2 years.
What?
That was horrible. Yeah, we lost we probably had over 2 years. I don't even know. It was at least $400,000 that got taken.
Fuck.
I know. It was
but you learned a fucking lesson that way, don't you?
Yeah, I learned.
So we're similar, right? So here, how did the pizza dude get your email?
I'm not sure. Oh, because we would put a contact number in case somebody wanted to reach out about something from the show.
Oh, you did?
And
because I've done a bunch of deals from people just cold emailing me.
Yeah.
Like I gave this company, this dude's out of Dallas, Tim Ellis and his buddies, they said they wanted to start a space company. I'm like, I don't know shit about space, but I'll get you started and see what happens, right? Now it's called Relativity Space. I still never met him, right? It was all email, never met him. Now I've invested a few million. They're worth $4 $4 billion.
No way.
Yeah, relativity space.
And they're space
Yeah, these guys, yeah, that's Tim, right?
How an ex-Blue Origin intern got a $500 check from Mark Cuban to build a major SpaceX rival. Wow.
Yeah. We're coming for you, Elon.
Yeah, oh, I know.
So what their deal is, they build the rockets out of using 3D printers. So you just
no way.
Yeah, it's really cool, right? And they've, to their credit, right? It's not like I helped them get there.
Right.
Guys were just insanely smart and good, right? So
Yeah.
I got lucky, you know. But
Right, like helping them have some capital.
yeah, I just got them started, right? Like Tim the pizza guy did for you, right? Or Tom the pizza guy, right?
Yeah, Thomas.
Yeah, and so like sometimes just making yourself available opens a lot of doors.
Yeah.
Right? And it's helped me a ton.
Yeah. Who were your mentors? And then how do you differentiate between listening to mentors and trusting your instincts, kind of?
I never had a mentor.
Really?
Not a mentor guy at all. I always wanted to try to figure it out myself. I've always been like super curious, like just somebody who loves to learn.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you know, when I was getting into computers, I was reading the stupid computer manuals, right? Software manuals, hardware. I would sit there and read that shit, right? And then I would try it and learn and learn and learn.
Yeah.
And then once you get started, you realize whether it's business, software, whatever, once you get that base, just it's like learning the podcasting business, right? Once you get that base of the basics you're supposed to do, coming up with new shit isn't that hard, right? It's just about your creativity.
Yeah.
And so I was always just, I'm going to learn it myself. Learn it myself. Never had a mentor. And then people are like, will you be my mentor? I'm like, I'm still going, right? I don't have time to be someone else's mentor. Maybe that's not fair, but that's where I'm at.
But not if you're still going, you know? I mean, right now you're mentoring your family. You've already said that you're choosing to take that
Yeah, for
extra
sure.
time.
That's more important.
It is, especially now.
If I can get them to listen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy, dude, how your own kids will have Mark Cuban in the kitchen.
It's insane.
And they're like, let me breathe, Mark.
I'd be like, you want me to help you with this business idea or, you know, your project at school? No, no. One of my daughters, I'm not gonna say which one, just like rips on me too. You don't know anything about business, Dad. I'm like, okay.
It's crazy that no matter who you are, you're still just dad.
You're just dad, which, you know, the best word in the entire English language, dad.
Yeah.
Right? When your kids just say, hey, Dad, that like makes me melt.
Does it really?
Oh my God. It's the best
cool.
thing ever, 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 ever. One of the best parts about having kids, right?
Yeah.
Just they're yours, right?
Yeah.
And
Was you and your dad had a pretty good relationship?
yeah, we did. Yeah. I mean, you know, it was funny because my dad was like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but keep on doing it. And I remember the time I told him that I had $100,000 in the bank, and he never made more than 40 grand in his life. Yeah. And he just started crying. You know, and just taking him places and then telling him and my mom they can just go wherever they want, whenever they want, and do whatever.
Cool, huh?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Made you feel good?
Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all they did with my dad, up 6 o'clock every morning at work at 7 a.m., come home at
Hard
6.
worker?
Oh, fuck yeah. Lost an eye in an accident. So, like, if you had
one-eyed worker.
One-eyed worker,
God,
right?
Damn, dude. So already.
Behind the 8 ball, right?
Yeah.
Like, you do upholstery in cars.
Behind the eyeball.
Right? Yeah. Oh, it's so gross, right? So he was like, when the first
Dude, my dad lost a finger, dude.
Did he really?
Yeah, I just remember that.
You just remember that.
Yeah, dude, it made us scared.
Oh my God, yeah, that's my dad. And
is this when he has both eyes or one eye?
Well, no, he had one eye, right? This is when he had one eye. Wow. He lost it when I was like 11. And you can see they're not quite the same, right? And so he had a glass eye, and he used to freak out my friends. He'd take out the glass eye, and it would be like, literally look like apricot jelly behind there. It was so disgusting.
That's wicked, bro. Dude, that's so cool. Yeah, my dad, I don't know what he was missing a finger. Somebody slammed the door on it, I guess, when he was a child.
Oh, that's fucking.
So, how'd your dad lose it? Anyway, cool?
No, it wasn't cool at all. They did upholstery on car seats and cars, and he was putting a staple gun, right, where you staple down the upholstery, and the staple broke, and he didn't have glasses on, hit him in the eye. Yeah, it was not.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was tough. But he's a fighter.
That's wild. Is your father still alive?
No, both my parents died a few years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Was it tough to have so much control and power? Like, you know, you have ability to affect a lot of things. Was that a tough thing to manage, like when your parents passed away?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure it is for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was 92 and my mom was 85, so they had good runs, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still tough, right? And you expect it because my dad had struggled for a while. My mom got cancer, and My mom's so insane, right? I'm like, we'll get you treatment, right? We'll do this, we'll do that, right? She goes, I just want some pot gummies. That's all she wanted.
Yeah.
She goes, just give me the gummies. All I care about is the gummies. And my brother Jeff would have to go find gummies in Pittsburgh, right? It was hysterical. Like, come on, Mom, we can help you. I don't care.
Oh, you can find some over in Shenley Park.
Right, in Shenley Park. How do you know
bro.
Pittsburgh?
Oh, dude, I got pink eye over there. The first time I ever had pink eye, I got it in Pittsburgh.
You get pink eye a lot?
No, only had it probably 3 times.
Oh,
dude.
that's a lot, though.
But somebody in Pittsburgh said, I'll never forget this. Oh, you got some downtown in your uptown.
Downtown, right? Yeah. You go downtown, hang out the south side.
They said you got some downtown in your uptown. And I
Oh,
was
my
like, that's pink eye, dude.
Yeah, Pittsburgh accents are the worst.
Oh, they're the worst and the best, dude. You see like some lady like just wearing a freaking Jerry Olshansky jersey or something. Just like, it's just
No, the best is when you see some really hot, so like I obviously don't have a Pittsburgh accent, right? And you see a really, really hot girl in Pittsburgh and she'd be like, yeah, you going downtown, hang out in the south side? I'm like,
dang.
What's your car? Yeah. Oh my God.
Pittsburgh, there's no place like Pittsburgh.
I love it, right? It's gotten a lot better from when I was a kid.
It's one of the best places. There's that movie, what's that movie where there's a big wedding in the beginning of it? Is that Deer Hunter? No, is that?
Yeah, Deer Hunter was filmed in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and it's all filmed right there. Pittsburgh, if it didn't, and with the landscape, it's one of the more beautiful cities. It doesn't get enough credit because the winters are pretty harsh, I think.
Brutal, right? But you go to Mount Washington and you go to Lamont Restaurant, and you just see it like driving through the tunnels and you see Point Park and you see the 3 rivers. It's beautiful, and they've cleaned it up a lot since I was a kid. It is really a vibrant town.
I love it there.
It's a tech town.
I loved it. My friend used to work at Jack's Bar on the south side. Another friend of mine was a mascot over there.
A mascot?
Yeah, I think he was a Pittsburgh Pirate for a while.
That's cool. That's cool.
That's cool.
I used to work as a bartender.
WDVE, is that the station there? No, what is it?
WDVE?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny as hell, yeah.
Yeah, man, I really I love that place. It's good people. You worked where there, you said?
Yeah, I worked at a bar called Chances Are and in Oakland, and that was my summer job when I was in college.
And Oakland is the kind of the downtown area? Or
no, Oakland is where the University of Pittsburgh is.
Okay, bet. Yeah. They're playing pretty good this year. They had a good win the other day. You mentioned Elon a little bit ago. I know you guys have like I don't know if it's a feud. What is it? You think it almost seems romantic a little bit?
Yeah, I just like to fuck with him.
Yeah,
right. I mean, because it's like
he loves being on Twitter too.
Oh, it's his thing, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah,
I guess if I just paid 40-something billion.
Yeah, you pay 44 billion. You better hang out. It's like why do I go to the Mavs games, right? But yeah, I don't dislike Elon, but he says some stupid shit, and it's just like I have no problem calling him out.
Yeah,
and he's thin-skinned, right? And so, like, I'll tell you my one little Elon story, right? So I didn't get to know him, but I was helped him with something or tried to help him. And so I had his number and I texted him a couple of times, like he had a kid, and I'm like, congrats on your 97th kid. And he texted me back, Mars needs kids, right? Mars needs people. And I'm like, that's funny as shit, right? And so one day I had a Tesla and I said something about it, and he just sends me a text with the article saying, fuck you. That's it. Just fuck you. And I was like, okay. I mean, it was the truth, right? Fuck you. I'm like, okay, so that's
a text with the article that what?
That I said something that wasn't totally positive about Tesla.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, right. So that's what the article was about.
Right. So he was just like, fuck you. I'm like, okay. And then it was nothing, no big deal. I don't care one way or the other. And then he buys Twitter, right? And then he starts getting real political, right?
Yeah.
And so not a lot of people are going to stand up to him. And I'm like, fuck it, I don't care, right? So he's called me racist. He's called me, poop emoji multiple times. He calls me all these names. And so like that, to me, that just gives me license to fuck with him even more. Right. I don't care if he calls me names. I don't give a shit what he thinks. Right. But it's still fun. Right. Just to hit him with the LOLs or whatever.
Yeah. Because at that point, you're just kind of having a good time. And Twitter is a strange place where you can just kind of say whatever. It kind of exists. It kind of doesn't. The news, like Twitter's just such a bizarre place.
It really is.
I wish they would take a lot of the pornography off of there.
Hardcore. Right. How they get away with all that shit? Because you only have to be 13 to go on there. Right. Yeah. You talked about some of the shit we were talking earlier. That's where the shit just shows up in your face all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That kind of stuff is, I think, yeah, I wish that we didn't have that. And and I think and he's always on there. But I think he might still be high off the fact that he bought it, that he owns it.
Look, you got to give him tons of credit, right?
Yeah.
SpaceX, Starlink, Tesla, shit, dude's like the entrepreneur of our generation, right? There's like nobody close.
Yeah.
At least in the 2000s, right? And so I have total respect for him as an entrepreneur, but his skin is so thin. How can you not fuck with him?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah. I mean, Twitter's definitely a place where is it real? Is it not real? I don't know. It's always been interesting. I was happy that he bought it though. I feel like he kind of rescued it because I feel like a lot of like the mainstream media and like the social media platforms, they seem all pretty left leaning, right?
Used to be for sure. Right. But now, like, the biggest platforms are Fox News, Daily Wire, the big names. Like, name the big left-leaning anchors or whatever. Who are the most left-leaning big celebrities in media today?
Well, I guess you'd probably have like Don Lemon, I guess.
He got fired.
He did?
Yeah, he got fired from CNN. He's gone, right? He ain't got shit going on.
Oh, damn. When life gives you Don Lemon, let him go.
Right? But you get the point, right?
I don't know.
There's no big names.
But CNN, a lot of the mainstream media has been notoriously kind of left leaning. I think it seems like they're anti. I mean, especially like during the first time that Trump was running, like the only people that even the late night hosts would make fun of were basically like kind of poor whites, it seemed like.
Yeah, for sure. That was wrong.
It got like, if you were like conservative or Christian, I feel like those people get the brunt of shit a lot of times.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that, right? But I guess my point is in 2016, it was different, right? TV was still up here, right? Getting 9-10 million viewers a night for a TV show was okay, right?
Yeah.
And so whoever was on the news then or CNN, they were getting millions of people. Now the only platforms getting a lot of viewers are like Fox News is the biggest. MSNBC gets some, like a Rachel Maddow, you could say. Mm-hmm. But for every Rachel Maddow, there's Sean Hannity, there's Laura Ingraham, there's all the hosts, and then you got Ben Shapiro's, you've got all these right wing, the Tucker Carlsons.
Yeah.
And so the bigger stars now and the bigger media presence is on the right. And so I think what's happened on Twitter now since Elon has pushed it to the right, I think it's kind of flip-flopped. Right. In 2016, if you went on and talked about Trump positively, you would get shit on.
Oh, you couldn't say anything. If you were even a conservative, you couldn't even ask a question.
Right. You would get shit on, right? It was
very scary.
Right. So it was left leading, but now it's the exact opposite. Right. When I say stuff about Harris, you can just look at my mentions, my replies, and I'm just getting destroyed. Yeah. I'm a communist. Yeah. You're a fucking Jew. Go back to hell. This is this is that.
Well, Jews aren't from hell. That's
well,
crazy,
no, but
dude.
that's what it's all
at
crazy.
Least look at the history. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's
look at a map.
Insane. The anti-Semitism on that place. Maybe it's just pointed at me, right? But I know Ben Shapiro. I looked in his replies because I'm just curious, right? So, point being that I think it's flip-flopped.
You do,
yeah, and I think now. Look, you had President Trump coming on here saying his piece, right?
And we would have Kamala on.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I'll put in a good word for you too.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would just be interesting to talk to her.
No, she's smart. She's fun. She's easygoing, right? Laughs a lot, but she's chill. But I think the whole thing is just flip-flopped. And I think it's harder on Twitter in particular, it's harder to be in support of Harris. Like, I'm not a liberal, right? I mean, socially I probably am. Physically I'm conservative and I'm an independent. I don't belong to either party. I don't give a shit about either party. But I'm a Harris fan because I'm not I like her policies. I've had some influence in her policies and I'm not a Trump fan at all.
Yeah.
Used to be, but they kind of grew out of it.
Have you, what do you think made you grow? Like that's interesting term, like grew out of it.
Once I came out saying I was for him, right?
Oh, you had come out and said that?
I said, yeah. I said it was the best thing that happened to politics because he wasn't a typical candidate. Now, I didn't think he had a chance.
That's how I felt.
Yeah, because
I would have elected a fucking donut in there if it wasn't a politician.
Exactly right. That's like one of my buddies in Texas. I'm like, why are you voting for Trump? He goes, Mark, I've been voting for politicians my entire life. You know what they've done for me? Nothing. You know the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again, right? So I'm like, okay, Dan, I get that, right?
Yeah.
But as I would talk to him, and it's funny because in one of my memory things that came up right just this morning. I was looking at it, and it was like he sent me a text. I had done a CNN interview.
Who, Donald?
Yeah, Donald sent. Well, what he would do is he would write it, and then somebody would scan it, and then they'd email it to me. And so he sent me what happened because he saw a CNN interview where I criticized him, and I told him, I'm like, you got to start learning the issues. Right? You can't just talk, at some point, all these things are important. And if you're going to be president and you've got a chance to win, then you've got to learn this stuff. And I just never felt he made an effort to learn anything, not just that, but anything. Right? And so whenever you try to get into a conversation about details, it never worked. Now, all that said, even though I don't think he'd make a good president, I don't think he was a good president before, when he did become president, when he asked me to come help during COVID, right, when he asked me to help about healthcare, I showed up, right, because country over party, right? And I would do it again if he wins, but I hope he doesn't.
Yeah. Have you donated to the Harris campaign?
No, I haven't given money to any candidate, PAC, anything politics related to either party since 2001. And that was like, to Zoe Lofgren. I don't remember why I gave her money, right? That's when I had broadcast.com. So I kind of make a point not to give money so that if I talk to you, either you like my ideas or you don't. And it's not about me buying, your interest.
They say first impressions are important. And what about lasting impressions? That's where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew helps give men longer lasting and stronger erections so you can perform at your very best. Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in a chewable form. I chew them bad boys, you know it. Blue Chew, baby. Blue Chew, chew. You know what I'm saying? Fill that furnace, daddy. Get that thing going. Blue Chew wants you to have the confidence to perform at your best. So discover your options at bluechew.com. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door in discreet packaging. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code Theo at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code Theo, to receive your first month free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and safety information, and we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. If you've struggled with how you're thinking or how you're feeling about yourself, that's a big one I notice. My relationship with myself, and I don't have anybody to talk to about it. Well, BetterHelp was there to help me out when I was in a bind. BetterHelp can help you as well. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. That's one thing I recommend. If you're with a therapist and you don't feel like it's helping, you're not going to hurt the therapist's feelings by switching to another one. You want to make sure you are in an environment where you feel like you are progressing towards healing whatever brought you in there in the first place. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Theo today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Theo. Do you feel like whoever gets in to be president that they actually do they just spend their time paying back lobbyists? Like, it just feels like we're so far away from the days of like maybe Ronald Reagan, or I'm trying to think of somebody else like Gerald Ford. I don't know. It just seems like we've just become this. America to me feels like this kind of shell company,
right.
for bigger.
See, I think there's some
and
of that.
I don't mean in a negative way.
No, I know what you're
still
saying.
believe in like the beliefs of our country.
Yeah, me too.
But it just feels like the lobbyists control so much. It's like, does the president even matter anymore?
It's a great point because some of the issues are so complicated, they can't learn all of them, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, like whatever it is, right? But at the same time, I think what a lot of people are missing is that all politicians learned from Donald Trump and how he won. Because
they did, you think?
Yeah, for sure, right. I see it in the Harris campaign. I see it in Kamala Harris, right? Donald Trump took over the Republican Party. It was no longer the Republican Party,
That's
right?
a great point. I never really thought about that.
He took over, right? It's like whatever he wants. He didn't want to debate in the Republican primary. So be it, right? They let him not debate, right? So, who knows what would happen against Vivek or Nikki Haley or whatever it might have been.
That's right. They didn't have to debate this year, huh?
No, they wanted to. The other ones did. He just didn't participate. And so he just didn't step up and say, okay, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm happy to debate anybody. He said, no, I'm not going to debate. His choice. But the point being, he controls the Republican Party. I think that's what's happening with the
that wasn't super democratic, probably.
Yeah, no, it was. But it's his choice, right? The Republican Party is a private entity. He gets to do the way, and he runs it, right? And
but shouldn't there? But isn't there an overall body that would say that you guys have to have this?
Nobody. The Republicans get to pick their candidate the way they want to, and the Democrats get to pick their candidate the way they want to. So all this shit about, Kamala Harris didn't get a single vote, right? Don't matter, right? And tell you what kind of dweeb I am, right? And nerd. Like I literally looked up the bylaws of the Democratic National Convention and the Republican National Convention. And they both say we basically, in a nutshell, we get to pick the candidates the way we want to pick the candidates. Period. End of story.
Wow. So because kind of on both sides, it seems like that Kamala and Donald have just been put in, right? Yeah. So neither one of them kind of practiced like.
But it don't matter, right? What do they care about? Power. To your point earlier, right? What's the Democratic Party want? Power. What's the Republican Party want? Power. Now, who's in charge of each of those businesses, the parties? Donald's in charge. And the thing I was saying about learning from Donald, now Kamala's like, I'm taking over the Democratic Party, right?
I see what you're saying.
Right. So it used to be like in 2016, people thought, well, all the traditional Republicans, the Mitt Romneys or whoever, they're really going to run the show. And Donald was like, fuck that, right? I'm doing it my own way, right? And so Kamala has learned all that stuff now, and she's doing it the same way. So she's not like, okay, this is what Bernie wants. She doesn't give a fuck what Bernie wants. This is what Elizabeth Warren wants. She doesn't give a fuck what Elizabeth Warren wants. She wants to know what's best for the country. And so then are people like, well, why was she not this way in California? Because running California, being a senator in California is a completely different job than trying to be the president. Just like running real estate is a completely different job than trying to be the president. So I think she's trying to come to center and she's trying to be the exact opposite of Trump, but she has captured the Democratic Party. Like when I talk to them, it's not like, okay, this is what the Democrats want. It's like, okay, what's best for the country and how do we implement that and how do we convey that so she can win? Now, some people might argue Bernie Sanders really is pulling strings, but he ain't. Right?
He didn't seem like that when I spoke with him. He seemed like I didn't even know how vested he was in her being the candidate.
No, he's not. Right? And that's the whole point,
yeah,
right?
He seemed like,
whatever, right? Because she's in the center.
So you're saying you believe that she's doing her own thing?
She's definitely doing her own thing. She says, here's my core values, right? I want taxes to be fair. I want to, lower taxes for the middle class, right? I want to bring people up and make sure that they have opportunities, right? I want to try to do what I can to continue to reduce inflation and costs. And I don't want to be negative, whereas Donald is negative a lot, right? And so you hear her talking about joyous and uplifting and all that stuff.
Oh,
right?
I see.
Right? Because and I agree with this, that's what's going to bring people together. You can't say, I hate Taylor Swift, right? And say, I'm bringing people together.
Right.
You can't say all the Haitians are bad, right? Legal or illegal, right? And throw all the legal immigrants under the bus like he's done. And you haven't heard her criticize like Hillary Clinton fucked up, right? Because you nailed it, right? She was talking shit, the deplorables and all that. They're stupid that's not Kamala at all. She's like, all right, we're going to bring people together. I'm going to be joyous. I'm going to be uplifting, right?
I see that. So now I understand a little bit more of her campaign then. But do you think it's weird that she doesn't do a lot of interviews and stuff, that she doesn't get out there?
That's a great question. Okay, so when she came in, right, and got nominated.
Because you kind of don't know who she is. That's like you hear it, you see. So
Right.
then you start to just believe clips because it seems like you don't get a breadth.
So now
of
that
her.
comes down, this great question, right? So, because I asked the same question, and here's what they said to me. They go, Mark, there's probably 1% of the electorate is high information. who
Wait,
wants.
so electorate, say what it is?
Yeah, so 1% of the electorate, people who are voting.
Okay, so 1% of people who are voting
are high information.
So people are going to go really look in depth.
Like you and I might, right?
Wow.
Right? 99%, they don't really know her. Right. And so if you look, when she came in, she had horrible approval ratings. She had horrible favorability ratings. People didn't know who she is. And so what she's doing, she's taking a page from the Trump playbook. What did Trump do in 2016? He did all those rallies all the time in front of 10, 15, 20. That's exactly what she's doing, right? She's going everywhere and doing rally because that's how you get the maximum number of people without having anybody interpret it for her like media might do. But the reason she keeps on doing it, it's working, right? She went from having really bad favorabilities, no one knew, to the exact opposite. She went from being further behind than Biden because people didn't know, to actually potentially at least break even, if not leading in some cases. It's working. So why doesn't she just turn around? And she's done some friendly interviews like Oprah and the National Association of Black Journalists, and she'll continue to do some stuff. But you do what works, right?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think, I just wish it feels like you would want to get to know her a little bit better, just to learn a little bit more about
Well, what do you
her,
want to
I
know
guess.
about her? What
That's a
don't
good
you know?
question. I guess for me, I always want to know what somebody's really like.
Yeah.
And at least get just to try to get an idea of that. And then also I think I can understand why a lot of people vote for Trump, because, he's had a history of being involved in a lot of shady business, right?
And that's why they vote for him?
Well, because America has become what it feels like to a regular person. It feels like I am just a peon in a bigger shady business. It feels like
That's interesting. That's really, really interesting.
yeah. So then it feels like our water's dirty. Our kids parents are boiling their own water now at home because they feel like that water's not safe and it's causing kids to have autism. Our drugs. People have to spend all their money on drugs.
Well, I'm fixing that, so I'll get to that.
I want to get to that. But one of the largest causes of bankruptcy is medical debt in this country. Yeah. There's a huge shell game insurance scam going on.
It's horrible. It's worse than you think.
Hospitals
you have no idea how bad it is.
Insurance providers and big business. It's just
but just look at that, right? Those shady things you mentioned. He tried to fix, I literally went to the White House to talk about healthcare and the shit I'm doing. And he wanted to talk about how he saved $35 billion on Boeing aircrafts.
Right.
We couldn't have a conversation about it at all.
Yeah, and maybe some of that stuff is evolving with him. I don't know, I don't. But I think my point was that it's gotten to the point where everything seems like such a shady business that I want somebody in there.
Who is shady?
No, I want somebody in there who can do shady business.
Well, that is a guy who does shady business.
Well, but I think that's how a lot of people think.
Really?
This whole thing is fucking me so much that at least
he's my criminal.
Let me.
He's my criminal.
If he is a criminal,
he's my criminal.
He is a criminal, he's my criminal. Right.
Yeah.
Because they feel like this other thing is it's so mobster that you need a mobster. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, that's the best description, a reason I've heard of anybody wanting to vote for Donald Trump. Literally the best, right? Because you're right? If everything is that shady, then, and he certainly, he's ripped off, I can't even tell you how many people, right? People I know, right, that he's ripped off.
There's been a lot of alleged issues with contractors.
No, I'm telling you I'm telling you people I know, right? Barbara Corcoran, she said something about this from Shark Tank, right? Mm-hmm. He hired her or asked her to sell a bunch of condos in a new building that he put up. And she did. Sold everything she asked. He offered her $4 million. He wouldn't pay her. She had to sue him just to get her money.
But how does somebody benefit by behaving like that?
When that's the only way you know? He was born rich. Right? He's never had to find his, Damon John.
Oh, yeah. He's always had good hair, dude. Rich people always have clean hair, I remember.
I don't know about that, but.
Good hair, Mark.
Just call me Becky. There you go. Well, she likes him as a salesperson, but down in there it talks about how he ripped her off. How do you, Trump University, Trump Foundation, Trump Soho, just example after example where he ripped off hard-working Americans again and again and again. And to think all of a sudden he just changed who he is, just not the case. Look what he's doing fucking now, right? A mint silver coin. If you're a billionaire, right? All of a sudden, you just made $1 billion. So you took your company public. You put $1 billion in the bank. Are you going to be selling silver medallion coins?
What do they look like?
Does it matter?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
You know what I'm talking? It's just.
Is it like so? Oh, you mean like
You
one
like
of those
the commemorative coins?
Oh, commemorative
right,
coins.
that you see on the late
they
night.
They sell commemorative everything, don't they?
Yeah, but this is supposed to be the guy running for president, right? And so he's selling commemorative coins.
Oh, that's wild. Dude.
He's selling sneakers.
Oh, that's gangster, bro.
But why, if you're rich, selling sneakers, right?
Because
NFTs.
Donald also has he has a very.
Look at this shit.
Those
right?
those things are hype as fuck, dude. And I wish I could get a pair, to be honest, just because they're pretty tough. I mean, they're ridiculous, but they're tough. But I think he's got he loves being Donald Trump.
Yes, he does.
Undeniably.
And I don't blame him for that. More power to him, right? Love your life, right? Enjoy every minute. I hope he enjoys every minute of his life, right? I got nothing against, I like the guy. If he was here and we were just talking shit, I get along great with him, right? But that's different than wanting him to be president of the United States again, right? Totally different. And I think you need somebody you can trust. Now, is Kamala perfect? No, right? Do I agree with everything she's going to do or says? No, right? But I think you can trust her, right? And that's the difference. And if you want to, I don't think we need to keep things in gangster mode. And I know that's why she's talking to me, right? I mean, that sounds stupid, right? But like fixing healthcare, right? She's not saying, okay, this lobbyist or that lobby. She's like, how do we fix it, right? What do we do to make it to save people money? That's the difference, right? And I understand completely if you think everything's gangster, the deep state and all this shit, but like to me, that's just playing the victim. You mean
by believing that sort of mentality?
No, that when he does it, right? When he says they're out, it's the deep state. He was fucking the president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world. And what did he do to stop the deep state? Now he just stopped talking about it. He doesn't talk about the deep state anymore. That's supposedly the ultimate gangster shit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's gangster and fucked up the way you say, and maybe it is, right? Maybe I just miss it.
It feels like it.
No, and I'm not saying it's not, right? Maybe I just don't see it, right? Maybe I've got it too good and I don't see the shit, right? But, I mean, it ain't going to get ungangster. It's not going to get better if you put in a gangster, right? And if you put somebody who's a gangster in Tony Soprano style that only worries about loyalty, if you have an idea, he ain't listening. He's doing it his way. Where I think with her, she'll listen.
One interesting thing that he did, I wonder how much would be different from the first time that he had the experience to be president because sometimes you do something and you learn.
Right. The question is, does he become more gangster or more legit?
Right.
What do you think?
I don't know. It's a good question. I think it would. That's the thing. I wish I knew a little bit more about how he thinks and is, and that's the toughest thing is being a regular voter. It's so hard to get to know how somebody.
But that's the exact same thing you said about Kamala, right?
Really is,
right? Because when look again, I don't hate him. I really don't hate anybody.
Yeah.
Right. I respect him. Right. I just don't agree with him, and I don't think he'd be a good president. But when he came on here, right, and I listened to the interview, he talked pretty much, other than your talk about his brother and what happened there, which was really cool, right? You deserve a lot of credit. He deserves a lot of credit. But
I wish he would have talked a little more about it, I think it's hard to get into some of his, like, an emotional side with him and I wish that it was maybe a little more possible, but, he's also an old, he's an older guy, senior citizen.
And it's harder, it's harder for that.
And I don't know him,
But what I was going to say is he didn't really get into any details about anything other than the personal stuff with his brother, right? And your stuff, right?
Yeah, well, I think he wants to, I think there's just things people want to feel. They want to feel safe, right? So you want different things that are happening at the border. Like we had a couple Border Patrol agents on, and they were saying that a lot of the problems, it's not, they used to have like usual like Mexican migration that comes up to help with farming and stuff like that. And then it's just gotten out of control. And then now it's gotten really out of control. So I think him saying that we want to close that or make it be like appropriate ways, that affects people's safety.
No, I agree, right? Everybody wants safety, right? And I think Biden fucked up. No question about it. He waited too long to do anything about it. Now, if you look at what's going on now, they're at the same level. The border crossings are at the same level they were under Trump, right? So they've come way down. And she has already said she wants to sign the border bill that the Republicans put out there, right? Not build a wall, but shut it down even further, which I think.
So even further than a wall.
Yeah, further than it is now, because they've already got it down to where it was when they built the wall, as much as they got built, right? It's the same numbers as at the end of the pre-COVID stuff for Trump, 400,000 a day, whatever it is, right? And she wants to take it even further. She's not Joe Biden, right? So I agree with that it's a big deal. But he also said he just wanted to deport everybody. How the fuck do you do that?
Yeah.
You're just going to walk into somebody's house. Hey, I know there might be somebody who may or may not be illegal. Get the local cops and just pull them out of their house. You know, what's that going to do to cities? You know, I mean, you go through LA, yeah, there's a bunch of illegals, right? But they're not all their families are illegal.
Mi gente, yeah.
Yeah. And so if your family's getting dragged out the front door, what are you doing?
Right.
And he gets the National Guard or the local cops, just start dragging people out, putting them in a bus and send them. How do you think their community is going to respond?
Well, I guess it depends. Yeah, I agree. It's tough. It's like, how do you get into the minutia of some of those things?
You got to follow the law, right? But he's saying he's just going to drag them out their doors, right? He hasn't given any real details how he would do it. And what I'm saying is, let's just say he decided it's against Jewish people.
Yeah.
Just pull it out of left field. I'm not saying he is. He's not going to, right? Fucking, that's happened to us before, right? And in a country where there's this many guns, people are pulling out their guns, right? And I don't know, but I'm thinking if I'm Hispanic and I have a brother-in-law or somebody, my father, whatever, who's illegal, and they're just coming to my front door, I'm not just letting them take him and just say, thank you very much, give me another, right? Unless you do it the right way. Look, they called Obama the deporter in chief. He deported more people than Trump ever did, but he followed the law to do it.
Yeah.
As long as you follow the law, that's great. But when Donald goes around saying, we're just going to fucking kick him out, right? I'm going to, do whatever.
Right. That just sounds like it sounds like a boast and not like
more
what
gangster.
Is the actual practice.
Right. More gangster, right?
But I think the fact that so many people have been let in, it's like there's Venezuelans in Brooklyn that are running like prostitution rings out of parks over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
there's Americans doing the same shit too, right?
Right. That's a good point.
But I'm not trying to make excuses for him, right? Get the motherfuckers out, but follow the law to do it. Tell us how you're going to do it.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah. Donald doesn't have much of he's not very finesse when it comes to the emotional comfort of how something's going to sound.
Just respect the law. Otherwise, shit could hit the fan in a bad way.
Yeah.
Right?
But the fact that people have come in lawlessly, it feels like
Biden fucked up. No one's changed. No one's saying he didn't.
Yeah.
Right. He let too many people in. That could have been the Bernie Sanders side of him. Right. I'm not saying, he did the right thing.
Yeah.
Right. But you are where you are. Right. So the only question is, how do you fix it?
Right.
And just
great point. You are where you are.
You are where you are. The situation is the situation. When that company, Cast or whatever it was, fucked you up, you were where you were.
Yeah.
And you just had to deal with it.
Yeah.
Right? You could sue, you could do whatever, you could follow the law, you did what you had to do, right? It's the same with this, right? You are where you are. And if he's going to get people out, which he should, he's not saying I'll follow the Obama model, but instead of 3 million people deported, it's going to be 11 million.
Right. Let's hear the practice more.
Right.
Let's hear, what is it? How are you going to do it?
When you have 300 million, 400 million guns in a fucking country, people aren't just going to say, take my brother, thank you very much.
Right. Yeah. That's a great point. I think, I think that you have to have more of an idea of, how are things going to be done.
You got to tell us how you're going to do it, right? You can't just say, I'm going to deport, because to your point, right, it gets people mad and they want to vote because they feel threatened, right? They don't feel safe, and I don't blame them for being mad and not feeling safe. That's legit, right? But how are you going to fix it? Right? Kamala's saying, okay, here's the program, right, that we got from James Lankford, whoever, the guy from Oklahoma, I think it is, who for this Republican bill. I'll sign it. Right, because this is a problem. She hasn't said how she's going to deal with deportations. That's something that she should be asked. I don't know the answer. I don't know where her head is on that. But I do know that if you go more gangster on this,
that it could escalate and get worse, you think?
Yeah, wouldn't you?
I don't know. I hadn't thought about it like that exactly, I hadn't thought about what are the actual practices of it,
Dude hires people, illegals in Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, well, that's an interesting thing about our whole country is it's like people say, well, we don't want illegals here, but then people hire illegals to also do the
jobs, right? And they're not doing these jobs, right? They're doing, the shitty jobs.
But most of the people that are coming over now, it's gotten so much more out of like people just coming over to work and send money back home. It's gotten like most of the people aren't even Mexican people that are coming over now. It's all other types, which doesn't make those people any better or any worse.
No, I hear you.
But it's still like, if it's like, it just makes me like, I can't walk. I'm scared to let my kid walk the block to school now, or just because I don't know. And if you feel like these people don't have a social security number, then there's no way to even prosecute them or have them be contributing members.
Well, no, that's not true, right? So even if they don't have a social security number, if they break the law, they'll deport them, right? Or they'll throw them in jail, whatever it may be. They're not saying because you don't have a social security number, you can't be prosecuted.
Ah, I see.
Right. Yeah, that's not the way it works.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, the executive branch, one of the Border Patrol guys said that the executive branch, they're not doing the processing well enough. So a lot of times they get the same people over and over again.
Yeah, they send them back, they come right back over. They send them back. That's fucked up, right?
So we have to do better.
Yeah.
And there used to be a program where families got to sponsor somebody that was coming over.
Back in the day, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where that is or what's going on.
That would just be cool, because then you, as a person that lives here or is a citizen here, you feel like you have a connection to that. It's like.
That's how my grandparents got in the country.
Yeah.
They came over from the Ukraine and all over the fucking place, right? It was either be killed where they were or get your ass over here.
Right.
Right.
I just think we're at a tough space in this country where it's like people are struggling with addiction. People are struggling with home ownership. We're dealing with, less marriages than ever. Like the family unit is broken. People are scared. A person can't care about their kids because they have to fucking work all day, or they can, but it's just hard to manage. And
well, how do you think you fix that?
I don't know. And I think it's a lot to think that one person could be the person that does it. And I don't even know how you, as a leader, say you need the help from the people, because they're already stressed.
But that's what a leader is supposed to do.
Right.
Right? That's the whole job, right? That's why I turned on Trump, because he didn't pay attention to those details. It wasn't like he had a team that was like, I got this guy to do this, I got this guy to do that. And even now, Who else?
He has, at least I do like that he brought in Bobby Kennedy Jr.,
Yeah, I'm not a big Bobby Kennedy.
You're not?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the healthcare shit. I like his stuff on unprocessed foods, right? I think that's legit. In fact, one of my buddies, Todd Wagner, one of my partners, this whole thing is getting rid of unprocessed foods. He helped sign a law in California to get all these dyes and shit out. So I'm in agreement there.
Yeah, that's one thing I love about him. And clean water, just trying to clean up the environment.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, those are the things that I love. Those are the things that I only really know that he does.
Yeah, I got no problem with that side of him, right? The whole vaccine thing, I think he's misguided on that, but that's what makes a market, right? That's okay. People can disagree.
And you need somebody to say this is. You needed because half of America was like, this feels like we should just let it. It's not that dangerous. We should let it figure itself out. And nobody was even allowed to say that. It felt like
say what
that this feels like that during COVID. This just feels like something that. We need to let it run its course through people instead of like going such a kind of almost felt like a communist route of like locking everything down.
Yeah, I mean, look,
and we don't have to go into that.
Yeah. I was responsible for 20,000 people coming into a Mavs game, and if somebody would have died because I didn't want them to be vaccinated,
you would have gotten sued too.
None of that. I would have felt like shit for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Right. So just different. Yeah. So. Everybody can have different perspectives on vax. I was pro-vax. Yeah, I was pro-vax.
Yeah, I don't know what I was vax on it. I don't know. I mean, I guess I was probably I don't know if I was anti-vax. I just felt like they suddenly shut down all of the AA rooms and shit, and that killed so many people because they couldn't go get meetings. And you're like,
can't Zoom everything. Yeah,
right. And they're like, I'm gonna die because I'm an addict, and I don't. COVID is the least of my worries.
Yeah, no, my brother's 17 years sober, so I went through all that shit with him, right? So I
not having some of that. So I just think that the way that it was all handled felt like
look with everything. Look,
it's easy to look back at.
Yeah, right. You can look at everything differently, right? Because in hindsight, everything's 2020, right? But when you're in the middle of it and people are fucking dying, it's scary as fuck. Yeah. But that's the difference between leadership. Like going back to leadership. I mean, you nailed it. You need leaders, right? And leaders may not be able to do everything themselves personally, but you got to have people around you that can do it. And that's where I think Trump is fucked up.
Yeah, you don't hear a lot about who he's going to get to help him with each thing.
And a lot of it's because the people who he used before all turned on him, right? All his cabinet members, 40 out of his 44 cabinet members said, we ain't voting for him, right? We don't think he's qualified to do this job. And, so healthcare, you hear Vance mention some things, but what else, right? Deportations. You hear Donald say he's going to do it, but how, right? Can you name one thing that Donald said how he's going to do it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's another thing that even on the Kamala side, it's like, I wish there were more some specifics about the policies. It's almost like they could both use a tune-up in some of that area.
For sure. Now, we got 45 days or whatever it is to find out from Kamala what she's going to do. I'm pushing them to get as much detail out, right? I talk to their team 3-4 times a week via text. Yeah, via text, right? And I give them shit when they deserve shit, right? And I'll say what I think, and they listen though, right? They may not agree all the time, but they'll listen.
Yeah.
And so I know, like, when I talk to our team, they're like, okay, we got to talk to the policy director of this or that, right? Healthcare, we're going to talk about, independent pharmacies going up. Okay, we have a group that's looking at healthcare in general. Let us get your feedback and go. Like, I was talking to them the other day on Amazon. Did you sell anything on Amazon by chance?
I bought stuff on there.
Yeah, but never. Okay, so like like Shark, I found this on Shark Tank, right? So little companies that make headphones, right? They get knocked off a lot, right? So you come up with an idea to do something, blood, sweat, and tears. You put it on Amazon. Some fuckers in China are like, I make that shit, right? I'm going to go on there and just knock it off, right? And sell it there. And as a little company, it's hard. It's not impossible, but it's hard to get Amazon to take it down, particularly on a timely basis. And so they lose, they can lose half, 75%, all of their sales to these knockoffs, right? And so I said to them, hey, here's what I learned from these companies, right? Amazon isn't the good partner they used to be for these little companies. Can we do something together? Can I put something together? Like, yeah. Put something together for us, because you're right. We need to do it. It's not right that China's knocking off some of our smallest entrepreneurs, even big entrepreneurs, right? And stealing their business. So it's not about tariffs. It's about, okay, so I proposed to them, can we get these Chinese companies to register before they're allowed to sell on Amazon? Get them to put up like a $25K bond in case they rip off people. There's some money there, right? For every product they sell, if you're going to sell headphones, right? Post it up, just like a patent. You have to post your patent before it gets approved, right?
Almost like you have to put your rating in the restaurant window or whatever.
Yeah, right. Same type of thing, right? So post whatever it is you're going to sell and put up $5,000 for it, right? Again, in case you violate IP. That's revenue for the country. That protects our small independent businesses, right? And it protects us against China, who, they don't care about IP all the time, right? And they were like, great idea. We have a policy team to look at that stuff for us, right? That's the big difference, right? So we don't have all the details yet, and I think that's not as good as it should be, but hopefully we'll get all those out in policy papers and everything and get some details. I haven't even seen who Trump is going to turn to for details.
So you feel like with the Democratic Party, that with Kamala's group, that there's more organization?
A lot more, and a lot more details paid attention to.
Got it.
Right? And I think that's important. Maybe there's people that Donald has put together and we just don't see it.
But you don't think there is? Who do you think's going to... Well, thanks, man. I like talking about that stuff. Sometimes I get kind of scared to talk about it, I guess, because some things I don't know, and everybody doesn't. Nobody knows everything.
Nobody knows shit. The big picture, right?
Who do you think will win?
I have no idea.
I know. That fucking crazy.
Crazy.
Do you think we still have a fair election process in this country?
Absolutely.
You do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. That's my biggest fear, is just that we don't have one. And that I think, and when you start to, that's one thing, it gets really weird, because you start to think that since other things seem kind of like lobbyists are involved in everything, and there's, Bernie Sanders was saying we have more lobbyists than we have reps and senators.
That I believe, right?
Like he said, there's 3 lobbyists for everyone. It's like, well, then what's the real government? It almost feels like the lobbyist becomes real government.
So, like,
but then you start to, just so I finish, Mark, but then you start to, you start to think that if that all that feels so compromised, is the voting compromised?
Yeah, I mean,
you don't think
geek,
it is?
No, as a geek,
yeah,
and having looked at a lot of this stuff, I mean, I'm not the ultimate geek in all this, but yeah, I'm pretty confident. And plus, they've been sued 1,000 times. All the states that Trump questioned were audited and had recounts. And notice he didn't question the states he won.
Yeah. That's a good point, huh?
Right. So it's not like he didn't trust it, right? He just, and I remember I got invited by Clinton to one of the early debates in 2016. And he was talking then about how the election wasn't going to be fair. So one of the coolest books I ever read was about a guy named Roy Cohn, right? And I don't know if you ever heard of the McCarthy trials in the 50s where they were calling everybody a communist.
Yeah, I remember,
right?
yeah.
And so I did a movie, actually, executive produced a movie called Good Night and Good Luck. Got nominated for 6 Academy Awards.
Oh, yeah, with George Clooney.
It was George Clooney, right? And it was all about that. Well, Roy Cohn was Donald Trump's mentor. And Roy Cohn, who was the guy who was defending the people saying, you're a communist, right? And his approach was deny, 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 and it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault, and they're out to get me. Everything Donald is doing is Roy Cohn part 2.
So you feel like that's a lot of his
that's
a lot of his
approach.
template?
Yeah, that's his template. Great. Yeah, that's the right word, template.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people feel like it's all so against them that they'll fucking throw a wrench into the
just to fuck it up further, right?
Well, no, just because it's like we'll fire anything at, it's like I think there's a lot of that mentality is that he's not a politician, so
they're going after him.
So it's better than having a politician there because the political landscape has gotten so.
I would agree. Look, like when Biden was running, I feel differently about Kamala, but when Biden was running, if you had a non-MAGA Republican running, I would probably vote for them, right? And you nailed it, right?
You said socially liberal, fiscally conservative.
Yeah. The whole gangster thing, I think that's just wrong.
Yeah.
Like when I was a little kid, I used to go with my buddy, Jay, and his dad was a numbers collector, and so we would go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when he had
Jets
this little.
+3, dude.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, always.
No, this was like, I'll take number 7, right? Right?
Oh, with horses?
No, just literally numbers. So back in the day, the mafia basically, right, in Pittsburgh and everywhere, they would allow you to pick a number. I don't know out of how many, like 1 to 20, you pick a number and you bet, right? And each number had different odds. And if your number came up, you got paid. It's more like roulette. That was it. Yeah, that was more like, we call it numbers, right?
It was like roulette, but somebody came and told you what the number was?
Yeah, they just posted the number and that was it, right? And they knew what you would bet. And if you didn't pay up,
wow.
Right, not that they would hit him, but they were just my buddy's dad used to sit there with a little, little souvenir baseball bats they give at games, a little tiny one, pat, pat, pat. And it was cool as shit sitting in his 1968 Buick Riviera. I thought it was badass as hell at the time, but
collecting numbers, dude, that's cool.
But the gangster shit, right?
Yeah.
Once a gangster, always a gangster. And when it comes time to dealing with stuff, it's self-preservation first. That's the number one rule of being a gangster, isn't it? Stay out of jail, keep your shit going. That's not putting the country first.
Well, yeah, the problem is it feels like the country hasn't been first for a long time. And so people want a gangster. So that's why I understand.
I understand too, right?
Yeah.
You explained it better than anybody, right? The way you said it to me was the only thing that I've been told. Okay, I get that, right? Or like my buddy who said, I'm tired of voting for politicians. I get that, but I don't know if that's who Donald Trump is these days.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, it's interesting. And that's why it's, it's fun to talk about and think about.
Yeah, no. Hey, just to have a good conversation.
Yeah.
No yelling, no screaming.
And I totally respect your thoughts, and I respect a lot of your insight
and vice versa. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, and I would love to be able to have her on. They reached out like last week about it.
Oh, cool.
And so we've been.
Who reached out? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I'll have to check with my buddy Zach, but
or just email me who reached out, and I'll find out.
But
I'll put in a good word for you.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, just to. I think because the toughest thing as like a regular person who just can go vote, it's like you just. Even more these days, you want to try and figure out who is this person, You obviously have a lot of like thoughts and creativity and you've had success. Do you feel like running for office? Have you thought about it?
Fuck no. I've thought about it. Yeah. I even looked into it. Yeah, but it's not going to happen. Right. All the shit that they're going through. Right.
Like you just even mean on a human basis.
Yeah. On a human basis. Like, why would I put my family through that?
Right.
Right. And with Cost Plus, I can have an impact. Right. And I just think I can do more outside than inside. And
So
I'm just not good at, all the formalities and all that shit. You're not, showing up at a state dinner in jeans and a t-shirt isn't going to work.
I don't know. I think people would love it.
That would be me.
Oh, I just think people would love that.
Yeah. My wife would kill me.
Did you ever ask her what she thought?
Yeah, my family voted no.
No, you sat them down?
4-1. Yeah, sat them down. 4 no, 1 yes.
Oh, man. Did you even try to lobby one of them to even help you a little?
Well, my son got into it a little bit, but he was only like 13 at the time, so it wasn't going to work.
Damn. Yeah, I guess what moments or what is it the part of you that makes you feel like you would want to do or could do it?
Because I just want to do the right thing.
Right.
If there's a deep state, I don't need anything from anybody. Right. You can't buy me. Right. And I try to be smart about things. I'm curious and I like to learn. I want to listen and be open-minded. And I think I've got approaches that have worked for me in the past, but also are getting results now. Like the cost plus drug stuff. I know how to change industries, whether it was the streaming industry, HDTV, movies, whatever it is, any industry I've gotten into, I've managed to kind of bubble to the top.
Yeah.
And, and I also know, to trust smart people, to partner with people who know shit that I don't know, how to complement my skill sets. I mean, maybe I'd be too honest about the whole thing, but I think I could do a good job, but there's just no way I'm putting my family through that.
So that's why maybe if you had an extra 15 years in your life, you would think about it.
Yeah, but they're still my family, right? And it's like
it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, when Clinton was president, the worst he did was try to smoke dope.
Yeah.
Right. And Obama.
And he got that Hummer too.
Yeah. Right. Well, yeah, but that was after the fact. They was already in, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, who knows? Look, I think if you're the president, but he was married though.
Yeah.
That was why.
Whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
To get elected, all you had to do was say, I didn't inhale, right?
I know.
Shit's totally different now.
Yeah, shit's way different.
You got pictures, your kids were here, you were there, doing this, doing that.
It would put your family through.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
So that's a big reason, really. Do you think that keeps a lot of people out of it?
Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
For sure.
It is. It's the scrutiny. It's that media scrutiny that they
have. Look at Kamala, right? She was 30 years old fucking a dude older, right? Or young. She's in her 20s.
Yeah, Montel Jordan or something.
Whatever, right? Just having fun.
If
it was me and you, we'd be like, let's go party with Kamala and Montel, right? Let's go, right? And now, all the shit she goes through. And that's not bad, right? But imagine that, she doesn't, and even like her stepdaughter, the one who was a little, that has all the tattoos and shit that they were giving shit to.
Oh, I haven't seen her.
Yeah, only because.
Oh, wait, I did see her. Yeah. They gave her shit because.
Yeah, like.
How she looks?
Yeah. The tats and everything and all that and whatever, right? I don't remember all the details.
Well, yeah, and remember the Barron Trump stories came out. He has autism or he has Down syndrome or whatever. Right? You're like, what are you talking about?
But I will tell you this. When I went to the White House to visit Donald, he was rambling around.
This was when he was in office?
Yeah, and this is like 2019. He was like, da-da-da-da-da-da, and we were trying to talk about healthcare, but he went off in a bunch of different stuff. And he goes, are you still on that show? Shark whatever? I'm like, yeah. He goes, Barron loves that show. I'm like, tell Barron. And he goes, look, that's his favorite show. I'm like, tell Barron, thanks. And then I'm walking out. He goes, wait. I'm like, what? He goes, that suit looks really good on you. That's who he is, right? He's going to give compliments like that and shit like that.
Yeah. What was I going to, I want to talk about the drug company you started.
CostPlusDrugs.com.
Okay. Yeah. Because one of the toughest things is that people pay more. Well, first, you tell me what's the best order for this, because we talked about like the insurance, the scam that goes on between hospitals and insurers and regular people. And then can you explain that to me? Sure. And then tell me how your drug helps, how the company helps?
So where we fit in all that.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So there's insurance. Well, that's the best way to explain it. There's drugs that you take, and then there's what they call providers, the hospitals you go to, right?
Okay, so the hospitals you go to is the provider.
The provider, right? And then there's the payers, which are the insurance companies.
Okay.
Right? And the insurance companies try to do deals with the providers, but they're not always up and up, right? It's not the providers, it's just the insurance companies have all the leverage because they have the money. Right. And hospitals are just trying to get all the business that they can get. And so there's all these games and arbitrages that are played over and over and over again. But what I think people don't realize is almost everybody with healthcare, like where do you get your healthcare? Or do you just self-pay, or do you have insurance?
I have health insurance.
Through, do you know?
I'm not sure, but it costs $400 a month.
Okay, so it's probably the ACA, right? The Obamacare, right? But you have a deductible, right? And let's just say for the shits and giggles, that's $2,000 deductible. For the hospital, even though this insurance company is going to pay anything above $2,000, you're responsible for that $2,000, right? And the hospital, is already not going to get paid on 50% of the deductibles. And so that's why you get a lot of this bad debt. The insurance companies don't pay for the whole thing. And they plan everything so they don't have to pay for the whole thing. And that creates a lot of medical debt. And so there's a
medical debt that the hospitals owe.
The individuals with the deductibles.
I see what you're saying.
Right, because they can't afford to pay their deductible.
Got it.
Right. And so, you have some disease and you can't afford your deductible, which is $2,000. It doesn't matter that it covers above $2,000, right? Because you can't pay the first $2,000, right? So that puts people in a lot of fucked up situations, and even hospitals, the providers in bad situations, because a big part of their revenue isn't getting paid, right? And here's the insurance company not giving a fuck. Right? They're just saying that's your problem, not mine.
Right.
Right? I'll pay you what I think I owe you, maybe. Right. And so all that, the insurance companies put pressure on the hospitals, the providers, the doctors, and the doctors then put pressure on the patients. That's where it's all fucked up. Right. And so what we're pushing for with the Harris campaign and in general is a lot of that happens because there's no transparency. Nobody knows what the contract is between the insurance company and the hospitals. Nobody knows what the contract is between the insurance company and your employer. And so as a result, the biggest companies have the most leverage and can fuck with everybody.
Yeah.
And that's where things go bad. So what I'm saying is, if you make every insurance contract and provider contract public, then all of a sudden people can understand just
That's called Power to the Patients. You familiar with them?
Yeah.
There's a group out there called Power to the Patients that lobbies for price, that you have to know how much an MRI costs when you go to get it.
Right.
So that way, if the hospital says the MRI costs $700, then the one down the street's going to have to say it costs $650, and they're going to have to start
to compete. Right.
And they're going to have to start to compete.
Right.
And there's an executive order that says they have to do that.
Right.
And that was a good thing that Trump did, but it wasn't enforced by the Biden administration.
Well, because the penalty is only like $1,000 a day.
So they'd rather pay the penalty?
Right. And so I funded a study that had people call the hospitals to see if they can get those cash prices.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of them didn't even know, a third of them didn't even know what the cash prices were. Right.
Wow. So they're not being instructed.
It's not, they just don't know, right? Because they don't care. That's not a big part of their business, right? They want to get all the money from the insurance companies. So anyways, circling around to what we do, right? Mm-hmm. So I got a cold email, just like Thomas the pizza guy. I got a cold email from a guy named Dr. Alex Oshmayansky. And he said that there are a lot of generic drugs that were in short supply and kids can't get their medicine and this and that. And I'm like, well, what can we do about that? And he's like, well, I want to do this thing called a compounding pharmacy where we can make those drugs, right? And so and he's like,
so you wanted to start a compounding pharmacy where you guys can make those
drugs that are in short supply. I'm like, that's cool, but it's not thinking big enough. So I'm like, let me look at the pharmaceutical industry and the drug industry and see why so many people can't afford them and what's going on. So I looked at it, and it was really obvious really fast that there's no transparency, right? Because nobody, just like you don't know when you go in, for your MRI, like doctor says, Theo, you need this medication. You have no clue what the price is going to be. The next question always, what pharmacy are you using, right? They're not saying, can you afford it or anything, right? So we decided to create this company called costplusdrugs.com. Mm-hmm. And if you go to costplusdrugs.com and put in the name of a medication, we don't have them all, we have about 2,500, we'll show you our cost, our actual cost that we actually pay for it. And then we mark it up 15%, and then there's $5 shipping and handling to send it to, and then $5 for our pharmacy. Or if you pick it up locally, it's $12. So the pharmacist makes money. And because of that transparency and only marking it up 15%, our prices are dramatically lower. And when the insurance companies are trying to rip people off, like there's a drug called imatinib. And if you don't come to us or some of the better pharmacies, smaller pharmacies, you might get charged $2,000 a month. For us, it might be $21 a month. I had a buddy who takes his drug droxidopa, And I didn't know what the fuck it was, right? A friend of ours emailed me and said, Landon can't get this because...
Droxidopa?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Sounds like a drug, right?
Sounds like a free safety for Alabama, too.
And so he was like, he can't, he lost his insurance and they're going to charge him $10,000 every 3 months. I'm like...
That's crazy.
Crazy. So I'm like, let me see what we can get it for. And go ahead and go to costplusdrugs.com and put in Droxidopa. And $64 for the 3 months. And yeah, you don't need to show that part. Yeah. So go to see all medications and then Droxidopa. Now it's $14.
Put some Nickel Red on there, dude. You
right?
sell the lights out of it. Droxidopa, so now it's $14. So you guys, because you're able to make the drugs yourself?
No, because we're able to buy them in volume and because we only mark them up 15%.
Well, why doesn't our own government do that to help us?
Well, they're starting to now. But see, the problem was we publish our prices and we put out a price list. Before we came along, nobody else did.
So you're creating the fact that other people are now going to have to do that.
Right. So now people see our prices and they're like, okay, millions of people are just going to costplusdrugs.com, right? Mm-hmm. And the doctors are like, fuck, Droxidopa, $14 instead of this other place wanted $3,000 plus a month. We're going to costplusdrugs.com.
Are all of your drugs cheaper?
I'd say 99% of them are, yeah. Every now and then there's one where we're not cheaper, but every time we get, as our volumes go up and our prices go down, we pass it on. So literally we've lowered our prices on every weekday since last August. I guess it's been over a year now. We've lowered our prices. We've had some drug that has come in that we've been able to lower the price on.
Wow.
So anybody out there, you, your mom, your dad, your aunt, your uncle, your grandparents, right? Whatever drug you take, if you're paying, more than $15 out of pocket, go to costplusdrugs.com, put in the name of it and see if we're cheaper. I mean, literally it's crushing it.
Right. That's all it does. That's all it takes to check it out.
That's
just to go there and do it.
You just do it, right? So like if you have a deductible, we might be cheaper than your deductible and it's cheaper to pay cash with us.
Now, can people run into problems, say if they're not supposed to get certain drugs? Is it easier to get those drugs through you guys?
No. You still have to have a prescription.
Like Percocets or whatever?
No. We don't do any controlled substances at all. Yeah.
Huh. Wow, man. But how does the government allow you to be able to do that?
Well, they can't stop me. Right, because it's just free market stuff.
Yeah.
They like it.
I'm glad that it's happening.
No, they like it, right? So now I'm talking to the Harris campaign and I'm saying, look, if we just do this transparency, you guys can buy the same way we do, right? And so there was a thing from the FTC who went after all these things called these pharmacy benefit managers and just threw them under the bus and sued them, but they used our prices, right? Now there's research
in the lawsuit?
Yeah. Yeah, there's research from like Vanderbilt and Harvard saying if Medicare bought at our prices, they would save billions of dollars a year, right? I mean, literally immediately, if there's people out there that are struggling with their prices, what they pay, they switch to us. They're going to save a fuck ton of money.
And they can just do that, but it's their own choice. They don't need their doctor's approval to switch.
Well, they need to get a prescription to send to us.
Okay, so let's still need a prescription.
Right, you still need to get.
But the doctor doesn't determine where. They just usually say what's your local pharmacy because that's just
and you
what
just
their
tell
practice is.
Right, and so you just say, send it to costplusdrugs.com.
Yeah.
So in the system that the doctors use to create the prescription, it lists us there and they just click on it and it's easy.
Wow.
Yeah. No, it's insane. It's insane. Like literally, we only started January 19th of 2022. So we've only been around a little bit more than 2.5 years and we're just changing everything.
Is it publicly traded or no?
No, it's private.
Damn.
I funded the whole thing.
Damn.
No, because I don't want to have to worry about making people money.
Yeah.
Right. Because we're losing money now. Not that much actually now. But it's more important for me to fuck things up, right? And change
so you like the fact that you're changing the industry?
Yeah.
I love that.
No, because to me, that's always the most fun, right? So you got all the healthcare industry, right? If what's the one thing you want to go down in history for? I fucked up the healthcare industry, right? I made it so people could afford their healthcare, their medication. And so, that's what we're doing with pharmaceuticals and medications. We're also working on cost plus wellness, which will deal with and kind of push out those insurance companies because most people get their healthcare through their employer. And most employers, particularly the big ones, self-insure, meaning they pay for all the cost out of pocket. And they don't realize how the employers, the CEOs of those companies, don't realize how badly they're getting ripped off. And so we're out there working on new programs now so that those employers will figure it out. We're starting with my companies and then we'll extend it out to other companies.
Yeah, it's just crazy that I feel like it just needs overhauls of things,
And it's not that hard. This is this is the easiest industry I've ever disrupted because all we had to do was publish our price list.
Right.
Because everybody else was hiding everything, right? You talked before about shit happening behind the scenes.
Well, yeah, because you go into the doctor, you go into the hospital, you sign something that says, I'm going to pay whatever you
want
charge me.
Yeah, for sure.
And then you assume they're going to charge you the amount the fairest amount because they're a fucking hospital. They're supposed to take care of you.
You would think so, right?
And then they don't. They charge
because they want whatever they can.
But why do they do that?
Because they're getting fucked by the insurance companies.
Got it.
Right? And they know that if you complain about the price, they'll reduce it.
Right. So, but then you're already sick. Now you have to spend
Deal
the
with
next
all this.
17
It's
weeks
horrible.
of your life.
Right, dealing with that shit, right?
Arguing with someone who's been trained how to argue against you.
Exactly right. And that's
in
what we're going to
another
fuck
country most of the time. Actually, some of it's here. A lot of medical billing is here.
Yeah.
But then
if you're calling in, and it's over there. Yeah, for sure.
But then they feel horrible. Then the person arguing against you, the employee feels horrible because they know that they're
fucking you over.
They're fucking you over, but
Right.
they're just trying to make their money to go
from
home
the
and take care of their
hospital side of
kids.
it, right? The hospital has to have way too many employees to deal with the insurance company. And the insurance company says, okay, we know this is what we're supposed to owe from when Theo took his kid in there, right? But we're not going to pay you the full amount. If you don't like that, sue us. And then they sue them. So now they have to have a shitload of doctors, right? So what we're saying is we're going to these places and saying, we're going to do a contract. We're going to do just cash, right? So there's no fucking around with the insurance companies. And we're going to publish all the contracts so that everybody can compare notes and figure out the best way to do it.
Yeah. Well, there was an executive order that said that they have to do that,
right?
But it's not being enforced.
Well, they do a little bit, but like we said earlier,
not at a level where it's helping, where people are like, they should have a commercial. The government should buy a commercial every week that runs 100 times that says, right now you have to. Trump administration announces historic price transparency requirements to increase competition and lower healthcare costs.
Yeah, they
for all
said. So they said, I think for 100 of the most.
This was something not good that Trump did.
No, it was good. No, I'm not saying Trump did everything bad, right? But this is one of the good things he did. But yeah, this is one of the things I think back then it was 100 of the top services. Now it's 500, I think. And
so it's growing?
It's growing.
That has to do it.
Right.
But how do we enforce it that it's not being enforced?
Well, so it's not so much enforcing that, right? Because if they put up shitty prices, it doesn't matter. If you show prices that are too expensive for everybody, it doesn't matter. And so you want to be able to have the whole contract published so that everybody who's responsible for paying not only sees that price, but how it got to that price.
Right.
And then people can create software and apps and this and that can truly help you because most people do have some kind of insurance, right? Mm-hmm. Like only 11% of people don't, or they have high deductible plans. And if you have a high deductible plan, you don't quite know what you're going to end up paying out of pocket anyways, even if they tell you that it's only $750 for the MRI or $250 for the MRI, right? So that's an important part of it, but it's that much of it.
Yeah, it's just interesting. It's just tough that you have to figure out how am I getting screwed all the time.
It's brutal. But that's the opportunity for me, right? Because
the Paul Revere pills will call you,
let's
dude.
go.
Dude, that's good. A couple quick questions before you get out of here, man. Why did you sell the Mavs, just so people know?
Kids. It was more time with my family. It was just, and the fact that to compete, which probably was as important in family, in order for me to compete, you got to generate more revenues. And when it was technology and media, I knew that shit cold. But now it's like building casinos, you see what happens with the Titan Stadium and all the shit they put around it, right? That's not me. I'm not a real estate guy. And I don't want to have to learn. I don't want to have to put up $2 billion to figure out if I'm doing it right or not. And so I brought in a great partner, Patrick Dumont, and the Adelson family, who are big Trump supporters. And so they're just better at it than I am. And so I thought that put the Mavs in a better position. And it didn't suck that I got all that money.
Oh, it's selling it, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I still own 27% and I'm still involved. So
got it.
It's a win-win.
Was there another team that you wanted to buy recently? What about a WNBA team?
No, not really, because it was more about just spending more time.
Like so that's just another...
Yeah, because there's a lot of pressure, right? Because if I want to do it, I want to win, right? And I still, like I said, I own 27% of the Mavs. And that's still
fun.
Yeah, that's still big time.
That's enough fun.
Yeah.
How much did you pay in fines during your NBA time?
3, 4, 5 million. I have no idea.
What was your biggest fine?
Fuck. I think it was $600,000. So I grew up, like I told you, grew up in Pittsburgh, and my biggest basketball crush was Julius Erving, Dr. J, right? And so he had me. Oh, that was bigger, right? Okay, so we rested these guys. See,
this says 750.
Yeah, so I forgot about this one. And so the end of 2 seasons ago, we weren't going to make the playoffs, and we rested our best players. And even though every other team had been doing it, they fucked with me and fined me for $750,000.
Damn. Because why? Because fans are coming. The best players should be on the court.
No, not necessarily. I mean, because like when a team is bad, they will do what they can to get a better draft pick because that's how you're going to get good.
Oh,
right?
I see what you're saying.
So we weren't going to do it, and they said we waited too long, right? Like other teams might tank halfway through the season, they might tank 3/4 of the way, but because we did it with 3 games left, they thought that was wrong. I was pissed when I got that one.
Dude, I would have been. Jesus Christ, I would have been pissed and sleeping outside because I would have been living outside then. Was there one player you always wanted to get that you couldn't get?
I mean, I was like Shaq.
You
Shaq
was
was
like
my
Shaq?
guy. Shaq was always, come get me. Come get me. Yeah, I have a house in Dallas. Come get me. I tried Shaq.
Oh, that'd have been fascinating having Shaq over there. I've heard you talk about crypto a lot.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a big part of our future, or do you not?
I think it
it's
can
big?
be. I think we don't know for sure yet.
Okay.
I think on one hand, Bitcoin is like the new gold, right? Because it's easy to own. It's easy to use apps to deal with it and everything. And I think that's a huge plus as opposed to gold where it's just more difficult to deal with. And ain't nobody going to carry a brick of gold, right? If shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
Right. What are you going to do? Hey, this is my gold. Not going to work.
A couple brothers might actually, dude. I know one of my dogs.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I know a couple of dogs roll around with a brick, maybe. But yeah, but it's just going to create controversy.
Different kind of brick. I'm talking about gold.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, people would be trying to attack you for it.
Yeah, right. So I see Bitcoin as having a good future, right? I think there's a lot of good reasons. I think Ethereum and some of the other ones are dependent on the applications built around them. So like there's DeFi, which has a real place so that people can easily trade, borrow, loan money, and make some money or save, borrow money. I think that's been around a while and that works okay, but it's kind of a stable app. But we really haven't seen that app that's like the Instagram app, right? Like when iPhones first came out or the App Store first came out, right? There was no one app, right? Then Instagram came along, Snapchat came along, and then the App Store blew up, right? There was apps. We haven't seen that one app that everybody has to use.
Yeah. Not for crypto. And when that happens, it'll make it a lot more common.
Right.
It's a great point. I really thought about that. What's something on the radars that nobody's seeing right now? People are talking about AI and Ozempic prices and, women selling illegal Ozempic outside of vineyard vines and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it's happening. And people are talking about the border and politics. But what's something that you think that's on your radar that's like a big issue that nobody's talking about?
I think it's more AI than people realize.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think AI is going to go a lot further. I mean, as processing speeds go like that and the capabilities of AI go like that, the context wins, all this other bullshit. You have a kid?
I don't have any children.
No, I thought you had
I will
one.
have one day, but I don't have any.
Yeah,
I got to get a wife.
Yeah, first things first, right?
Yeah.
And so like if you just had a kid tomorrow, let's just say, right? And you start collecting all the videos and pictures and things, and over time it turns into emails and texts. You're going to put that all in AI, and your little kid, when he's 7, 8 years old, is going to have an invisible friend that's an AI. It's some crazy shit that's going to happen.
Oh, because it'll be all the information you'd want him to know or whatever.
Yeah, exactly right, and can talk to you when you're not there instead of them just going on Instagram or whatever, Snapchat. It's going to be like
you could be, so say you could take say there was like an orb that went into your child's room, like an actual thing you plugged in, like a thing, a fixture, and you could load in through AI, like put in these 20 books. This orb should have this knowledge of these 20
it won't even be
books.
an orb. It'll be somebody that looks like a somebody.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So an actual figure, or it could be even a hologram of someone. And if my child has any questions, they can ask.
And now fast forward 40 years where you're taking all the stuff about the child, right?
Right.
And so
putting
now,
that information in as well, so he'll know how to best relate to the child.
Or things he remembers, every memory you
I
ever
remember
had.
when we were at the park.
Right. Or, tell me, when was that time I went with dad to, there it is, right? And then when he hits 80 and dies, or 100, let's say, and dies, right? You've got that fake little Joey, right? Who just died and lives forever. It's going to be insane.
So you'd be able to literally, as you're laying in bed at night, you could turn your grandparents on the wall through some sort of a projector machine.
And talk to them like they're still there.
Wow.
Or a hologram. Yeah. It's going to be insane.
Was there ever, I had an invention, dude. Did you ever have an invention that you wanted to get done, but you never had the time?
Not really, because I'm not that creative.
Really?
Yeah, I'm creative business wise. But what's yours?
I used to think that like 15 years ago, I started thinking, well, what if they had on your dashboard, you could put in something like a CD or something, and on your dashboard, a hologram, the band would perform on your dashboard.
It'd be a little bit of a distraction, but it's
It'd be a little distraction, but I just thought it'd be sewed up, and you can make it over by the passenger
Backseat
just for
whatever,
them. Yeah. But imagine if like a little boost
and
here,
you can do that shit now. You can do that shit now.
That was one thing I thought. And then I thought if they had a dog collars because there's a dog that kind of howls behind my house a lot. If you could synchronize them, you get the neighborhood or regional, you get them all the same collar. And then
that's a cool idea.
They synchronize it, makes
so
them
you
howl
put that
like
together
a
and come on Shark Tank then.
But like
song?
Organized, like they would do it like.
So you know where he's at by so that's cool, right? So if you have a collar,
that dog and another dog down the street, the collar would have them both howl at the same time. So you would have almost like
the whole, like a little symphony of dogs.
A symphony.
That's funny as fuck. Yeah.
If you could do that regionally. So say you're on the porch, you're relaxing with your wife, you're sitting there in the swing, and you could just program a little,
that'd be cool.
Some Beethoven, and then all the hounds started heating up. Yeah.
Oh, that
was a thought that I had. Right before you go, if there's a young guy who's out there, what's the best advice you would look back and honestly give yourself? I know it's such a generic question, but we have a lot of young men on who listen to our podcast who are curious about what's something they can do to hedge their bets for the future and to best take care of themselves.
Like, I think like I was the same way. Like you always think, oh, this is not the job, right? This is not where I want to be. And I got fired or quit or did a bunch of jobs, right? And I think if I were going to do that again, I would try to be really good at all those jobs, right? Because when you get really good at something, that opens up doors for you, right? Even if you're flipping burgers, right? If you're the best at it, someone's going to recognize it, right? And if it's not the boss you have right there and then, like dude fires you or whatever, you're still gonna be good for the next one, right?
100%.
And when you learn how to be good at something, then you can learn how to be good at other things. And then, because the hard part really is finding something that you love to do that you can be great at, right? Because you never thought you'd be doing podcasting, right?
No.
And you're great at it, but once you find it, right, that's when the shit happens.
Yeah. It took me years to figure it out.
It takes all of us years to figure it out, right?
Right, and give yourself some grace that you're figuring it out. Like,
you don't have to figure out shit when you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. You don't know shit.
Just don't get somebody pregnant and have fun.
Right. Don't get thrown in jail. Don't do shit that's going to, hold you back, right? But, and then I'd add, be curious, right? Because the more you learn, the more doors open up for you. Be agile, right? Be able to bob and weave when shit hits you, right? Because it's going to, and again, if you just can find something you can be really good at, no matter what it is, nobody quits anything they're really good at.
That's a great line.
Because that's when you get that satisfaction. I'm the best motherfucking whatever it is, right? And somebody's going to want to pay me because I'm the best.
Yeah. Yeah, and somebody will, and a lot of, because once you start having employees, you start looking for better employees in different spots. And then I bet it becomes a problem, people trying to poach your employees. Has that ever happened?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. And you just got to, try to connect with them better. And, look, I'm horrible at hiring people. And so I always try to get somebody who's good at it because I'm a softie, right? Theo, Theo sells me on why he wants to, you'll be great, Theo. And then,
I heard you say in an interview one time, you said, get on the job, learn it for 3 months, be the best fucking person at it. And then at 6 months, if you are the killer at it, it might've been a sales job, but go into your boss and say, I need a higher percentage or I'm going to go do this
and
on my
compete with
own.
you. Fuck yeah, right?
It's a good strategy. It's good. It's just good to have that mindset. Yeah, if you work hard, you can figure it out.
And if you can learn to sell, you always have a job.
Oh, selling's so hard.
It's not though. I started selling when I was 12 years old.
Oh
right?
yeah, then you have it.
Yeah, and I always looked at it okay, I'm just trying to help somebody. Whatever I got, I sold garbage bags door to door. I sold magazines, and I remember, Theo, look, I'm selling you all these 5 magazines for $10 a month. When you tell your wife you spend $10 a month on the education and enjoyment of your entire family that puts them in a position to get better grades at school, she's going to thank you for it.
Yeah.
Let's sign that shit up, right? So if you just look at it as helping somebody,
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. If you don't think of it as I'm selling, if you believe in what you're selling too, probably helps.
Well, that sure helps,
Yeah.
right? But
You should sell a full alphabet up to people in Pittsburgh, dude, because they're only using half of it up there, dude. Yeah,
I love it.
There's people up there only using half of it. Rumor you wanted to buy Fox News. Is that going to happen?
No, that was
or
all
not?
bullshit, right?
It was?
Yeah, somebody asked me, if you could, would you buy X or Fox News? I'm like, I can't afford it, but if I could, I would. But yeah, I'm not trying. No,
Yeah.
that's bullshit.
There's a rumor that you wanted to build an entire city in Dallas, like a new city from scratch.
No, I bought a city.
Oh, you bought
I bought
a
a
city.
town called Mustang, Texas. If you got any ideas, Theo, bring them on.
Really? You got a whole city over there?
I got a whole town. It's not a city, it's a town. It's got like no people, right? But it's like 75 square miles, or acres rather. And
I got an idea.
a dude I played basketball with was dying of cancer, and said that his only real asset was this town. It's the only personally owned town in the state, and one of the few in the country. And like old friend, and I'm like, okay, Marty, I'll buy it from you. So it was like $1.9 million. So now I own my own town. One of my other basketball buddies is like the mayor and goes down there and keeps it up to date and everything. So if you got any ideas,
And people
Mustang-
live there, or it's empty?
No, it's pretty much empty.
It is?
Yeah. There used to be a strip club that burned down, and then we tore all that down.
Wow. Do you lease it out for movie sets right now?
I would, but I haven't really tried.
Right, you got to get it figured out.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. I'm going to keep that in mind. Dude, what would I do with a dang town? I don't know. It's your daughter's birthday coming up, you said?
Coming up, yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
How old is she going to be?
She's going to be 21.
No.
21 in Nashville. It's going to be brutal.
Do you feel a responsibility to throw a big party for her?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. That's where I'm taking advantage of, what I can take advantage of. So it's a little bit spoiling her, but she deserves it.
Is she what's something you really love about her?
She's just got a great spirit. She's feisty as hell. She's smart. She's loving. And she's got a sense. She's got a sarcastic sense of humor. So she's always giving me shit, right?
Yeah.
Which is cool. I like that.
Yeah, somebody's got to give Mark Cuban shit. Somebody's got to give us all shit.
But that's
huh?
what they say. That's what my kids always say. Someone's got to give you shit. So that's all they do is give me shit.
Yeah, that's a pretty generic first statement too. Like, well, it doesn't have to be you.
Right? Not my family.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Dad, you're the worst driver. Dad, you're the worst this. Dad, you're the worst that. Oh my God.
Oh,
Theo, I got to tell you, I enjoyed this. This is totally different than any other interview I've
really
ever done. Yeah.
Oh, thanks,
really
man.
enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to hear that you like being a dad, Mark.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. I
love
appreciate it, Mark Cuban. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Theo. Really appreciate it.
Now I'm just floating on the breeze, and I feel I'm falling like these leaves. I must be cornerstone.